Chapter 151. Elder Dongyun had some expectations for Yi Tianyun, but whether or not he could respond to his expectations, that was another matter. At least he knew that the abilities of Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and Heaven Monarch Yulong could not be refined into high-quality pills. Compared to Heaven Monarch Shubo, he is a lot worse, and I am afraid that he will not be able to catch up. In particular, in addition to Elder Xiaotian, the other opponents also have good highlights. They can all refine high-grade medicine pills. However, Elder Xiaotian is the happiest. He feels that this stage is prepared for them. They can easily get high-grade medicine pills. Heaven Monarch Shubo, it seems that we have won this stage. Elder Xiaotian was extremely gratified. Although this question was a bit strange, it was a good thing that some of them were able to refine high-grade medicinal pills. It was simply a great advantage. Definitely. I don't think anyone can be more skilled in alchemy than me in this round. Heaven Monarch was extremely proud. He felt that the current champion already belonged to him. Among so many participants, the highest level of medicinal pills that he refined would be able to continue up later. At that time, he would be able to lead the others even more. They still looked at Yi Tianyun. Before, Yi Tianyun was in the lead, but now, Yi Tianyun stood there motionless, as if he were a fool. Elder Dongyun, what's wrong with your disciple? Isn't he knowledgeable? No, being knowledgeable doesn't mean he has more ability. Elder Xiaotian laughed and felt that Heaven Monarch's ability was stronger. Elder Dongyun didn't say anything, and he couldn't refute this point. Damn it, this Elder Xiaotian is really arrogant. If we were to compete in blacksmithing, I definitely wouldn't lose. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian clenched his teeth. He felt that the questions given by Territory Lord Lu Li were too abnormal and unfair. That's right. If we were to compete in blacksmithing, we would definitely beat them until their teeth are all over the ground. Heaven Monarch Yulong clenched his teeth. He was also very displeased. Many of the contestants were dissatisfied with Territory Lord Lu Li, but they didn't dare to curse. If anyone dared to curse, they wouldn't just be imprisoned in the Reflection Tower, but killed. How could a mere Territory Lord Lu Li not die? Moreover, it wasn't just a simple death, but an extreme punishment. Just as the two of them were feeling displeased, a flash of fire suddenly shot up into the sky. Boom! A pillar of fire rose into the sky, followed by a fire lotus floating gently on the side. Surrounding this furnace, it seemed that some kind of treasure had appeared. Suddenly, everyone's eyes gathered on it, and they found that the one who came out of the fire was not someone else but Yi Tianyun. Such a shocking pillar of fire shocked many people, especially the disciples of Pill Refining Palace. After seeing it, they were stunned. This is the level of medicine in God territory. It seems to be at least a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory. Am I seeing a ghost? A disciple of Divine Constructu Palace refined a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory? Quick, pinch me, it hurts. Damn, it really is a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory. It looks like he is very skilled. He is a divine pill master. The disciples of the Pill Refining Palace all wondered if they were seeing things. It could be said that Yi Tianyun's level was even higher than theirs. The second-grade medicinal pill master Azi in the Pill Refining Palace was not very strong. At least it was considered middle level among the new people. The problem is that Yi Tianyun is a disciple of Divine Construct Palace, not a disciple of Pill Refining Palace. Both are not on the same level. Now that Yi Tianyun is able to refine such a powerful pill, many spectators and elders doubt whether Yi Tianyun is an alchemist or not. However, combined with Yi Tianyun's previous level of refinement, they think that he is a very good divine forging master. Now that both of them are very strong, it means that they can cultivate two abilities and crush all the people present. This is the aura of a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory, Elder Dongyun gasped. He had been looking forward to Yi Tianyun giving a miracle. Now it's really a miracle, a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory, shocking everyone. A second-grade medicinal pill of God territory is not rare, but it is rare to know this much. It is simply a heaven-defying ability. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, some participants failed to refine pills and exploded in the furnace. They were shocked by the pills Yi Tianyun refined. This scene is too shocking. This is really like a bolt of dust. Even the stronger Heaven Monarch Shubo was thrown several streets away by him. This is impossible. How is he still a refining master? Elder Xiaotian felt that he was going crazy, and felt like he was going crazy. Heaven Monarch Shubo was shocked. Yi Tianyun completely shattered his previous arrogance and confidence, and he did not even leave a trace. This kid is also a refining master, and it is a bit beyond my expectations. Not just a blacksmith master, but also a refining master. I suspect that he is a reincarnated cultivator. He should not be a reincarnated cultivator, otherwise he would not have stayed in the mortal territory. Elder Gu Huang shook his head and denied it. After being born, there would immediately be people who would go over to receive them and nurture them with the most abundant resources in order to awaken their memories in the shortest amount of time. Therefore, those who could reincarnate and cultivate again usually had a certain identity and background. I feel that there is indeed no aura of reincarnation. But if this is the case, to be able to teach such a powerful disciple, I wonder what kind of master he is. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled faintly. Looks like the competition this time is indeed a bit interesting. It's even more interesting than before. I really came up with these questions by chance and managed to dig out some geniuses. That is, Elder Gu Huang's face twitched. He suspected that these questions were related to Territory Lord Lu Li. He was too embarrassed to ask. Yi Tianyun ignored the gazes around him. He quickly condensed the pills in the furnace and promptly pulled them out. A round pill fell from the sky and landed on his palm. I have refined it. It's a second-grade medicinal pill of God territory. 11119 Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand, and an amazing second-rank pill appeared in front of everyone. There is no need to refine too many pills. Second-grade medicinal pill is enough to make everyone proud. Elder Wu Yuan and others came back to their senses with sad expressions, turned to look at Elder Dongyun and others, and said angrily, "Look, what a good pill-refining genius. He was delayed by refining." Such a technique, so smooth, if it is specially made to refine pills, it is estimated that he is already a third-grade refining master or fourth-grade refining master. Become a patron read up to chapter 1353, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could chapter 152, chapter 152. Yi Tianyun's performance greatly surprised them, especially Elder Wu Yuan. He felt that Yi Tianyun was really delayed. Now that both professions can reach such a high level, what if he concentrates on cultivating one? Maybe he can reach a higher level, but now he is a disciple of Divine Construct Palace, and it is a pity for him to raise it. Delay my ass, I even said that refining is delayed. After Elder Dongyun responded, he laughed and scolded. There was no dissatisfaction on his face, but he was so happy that he went crazy. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be a refining pill master, which was beyond his expectations. Damn boy, you join my refining pill palace, I promise to train you. Elder Wu Yuan came to Yi Tianyun in 2 or 3 steps and wanted to poach people in front of so many people. Elder Wu Yuan, you are really shameless, digging people in front of me. Elder Dongyun also came over and glared at him. So what if I am the one who dug you out? Staying in the Divine Construct Palace is a waste. Elder Wu Yuan was so thick-skinned that he thought Yi Tianyun was good, and he immediately wanted to poach him. I think if I really join the pill refining palace, it will be a real waste, Elder Dongyun retorted again. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the two of them continued to quarrel like children. The others looked at each other, especially those contestants who were simply like air, left to the side. However, this is not surprising. Yi Tianyun's performance is far beyond that of the other participants. The other participants are, at most, in the 7th grade of the God territory. Compared to the 1st and 2nd grades of the God territory, they are simply one level. They will naturally be ignored. Elder Wu Yuan does not even look at them. Unless they show the same level as Yi Tianyun or higher, they are too lazy to care. Now, the situation is awkward. The main character of the audience has become Yi Tianyun, and the others have been reduced to a foil. They can't even touch the points. Cough cough. 2 elders, please don't quarrel. Now it's time to start the evaluation, if it's based on the evaluation of the Divine Construct Palace. Elder Gu Huang stood up and persuaded them not to quarrel. So many people watching was really embarrassing. Humph, the two of them didn't continue arguing. Elder Wu Yuan came to Yi Tianyun and didn't even look at the pill. He said, full marks, 20 points. He didn't even take the pill to check, but directly gave 20 points, which was shocking. Elder Wu Yuan, you gave 20 points? Elder Xiaotian asked in surprise. Then how many points do you think Elder Xiaotian will give? Elder Wu Yuan glanced around and said calmly, Territory Lord Lu Li. Elder Wu Yuan said calmly, give him a full score of 20 points. Right now, his results are very outstanding. He is even more outstanding than our refining Pill Palace disciples. If he doesn't get full marks, what kind of score will he get? I didn't expect the disciples of the Divine Construct Palace to be able to refine such a good pill. He directly refined a disciple of our refining Pill Palace, which is difficult to compare with. How can he not get full marks? Elder Wu Yuan's explanation was clear and logical. He didn't give the points randomly. It was completely reasonable. Even the disciples of the refining Pill Palace had been defeated. If he didn't give full marks, what would he give full marks for? If it was according to the standards of the refining Pill Palace, there was naturally no way to get full marks. But now, it was determined by the standards of the Divine Construct Palace. It was definitely different. Alright, Elder Xiaotian could only agree. With that, he would obtain full marks and instantly pull a large distance away. Right now, he could only hope that Heaven Monarch Shubo would be able to obtain a high-grade medicinal pill so that he could close the distance between the two of them. Elder Xiaotian, this disciple of mine, is just too knowledgeable. Not only is he knowledgeable, but he also has a lot of abilities. I'm really sorry. Elder Dongyun flashed over and could not help but mock him. Elder Xiaotian's expression turned ugly. He had really come out to mingle. He had to repay this debt. He had originally thought that he would be able to suppress Elder Dongyun in this match. Who would have thought that he would be easily surpassed? The 3rd grade is the true test. Elder Xiaotian waved his hand and was too lazy to argue with Elder Dongyun. Elder Dongyun smiled. This fellow was truly stubborn. He was unwilling to admit defeat no matter what. Very quickly, every one of them successfully refined a medicinal pill. Their levels varied greatly. They would not be like the first stage. Although there was a difference, at least it would not be that huge. After all, some only liked refining weapons. They did not like refining pills at all. They basically had zero foundations. With this kind of zero foundation, how could they possibly obtain good results? Refining a third or fourth grade of mortal territory was already very good. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Very quickly, it was time for the final evaluation. Heaven Monarch Shu Bo had risked his life to refine it. However, no matter what, he could only refine an 8th grade medicinal pill of mortal territory. He could not continue to advance. This was not something that could be refined just because one wanted to. He needed a deeper foundation to refine it. Thus, his final result was only at the 8th grade medicinal pill of mortal territory. The rest of the highest level is similar to him. Both are at the 8th grade medicinal pill of mortal territory. The lowest level of other pills is still at the 3rd or 4th grade. For these beginners, it is still a very good result. However, compared to the pills refined by Yi Tianyun, it is simply no different from garbage. In terms of score, the two are equally different. The lowest score is 3 and 4 points, and the highest score is around 11 and 12 points, except for Yi Tianyun's 20 points. In this level, Yi Tianyun was directly pulled away from second place by 8 points, which is equivalent to 2 times the first level. This makes the faces of many participants more and more ugly. These questions are simply cheating people. The level of refining is completely unable to be displayed, so how can it be played? After the second stage, all of them were standing in the camp, and their faces were full of displeasure. Yi Tianyun was very proud of himself. Elder Dongyun couldn't help but smile. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and the others praised him even more. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to have such amazing refining skills. Little brother, your refining skills are so strong. No wonder you didn't want to see the pill recipe before. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian looked at him and smiled. Since you know how to refine pills, you can't decline my request. That's right. This will save me the trouble of finding a disciple from the refining pill palace to refine pills. This will save me a lot of money. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian Yu Long and the others all gathered around, feeling as if they had encountered a treasure. Cough cough, there is no need to say this for now. Earth Monarch Tianyun, how did you cultivate to be able to refine pills to such a high level? Elder Dongyun asked. Well, I feel a little interested, and then I cultivated for a while, and it became like this. Yi Tianyun helplessly spread his hands. This is not nonsense. It is indeed interesting. Everyone was suddenly speechless. Was this legendary super genius? Become a patron, read up to chapter 1353, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could chapter 153, chapter 1153. Although they didn't say it out loud, it was clear from their expressions that they were extremely dissatisfied. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled faintly. It was as if this situation had already been within her expectations. Anyone would be dissatisfied with this. It was clearly a competition for the Divine Construct Palace. How could someone suddenly have the ability to refine pills? This was puzzling. No one knew what she was thinking. Why would she choose such an assessment? I know everyone is very dissatisfied. Why would the Divine Construct Palace compete with the Pill Refining Palace? She glanced at everyone and smiled. I just want to see how capable you are on this side. Sometimes, diversification is very important. If you cultivate carefully, you will find that there are many similarities between the two. It will be easier for you to cultivate. Some people will feel that if they are focused on their abilities, it will appear that both sides are not pleasing and that they are mediocre. After all, it is too comprehensive, meaning that they are mediocre. This is undeniable, but some people can have more energy to cultivate both, especially when the two are similar. As long as they have shocking flames, it will be much easier to refine them. I'm just trying to see how many disciples there are in the Divine Construct Palace that can cultivate both. Following that, we will increase our cultivation. If someone isn't interested and only wants to focus on one sect, it would be worthy of praise. I just want to select some disciples who are focused on cultivation. This way, it will be of great help in the future. One day, we will be able to become one with the two. There is no need to worry that we will be able to refine our pills to recover without a refiner by our side. You can't stay here all the time. If you go out to train, you will definitely encounter a scene on this side. It was only after Territory Lord Lu Li explained a lot that everyone came to a sudden realization that she wanted to focus on nurturing the talents on this side so that they could grasp a certain level of pill refining ability. To put it bluntly, in a large-scale battle, a divine forging master was trash. Weapons were important, but what if they were finished? If he went out to train, he would be surrounded by spirit medicines. Coincidentally, his injuries were severe, but he couldn't refine pills. After all, refining weapons couldn't restore his body. Life was the most important thing. Territory Lord Lu Li wanted to increase their survival ability. It was important to be able to create shocking weapons. But when forced into a desperate situation, having more pill refining abilities was a good choice. After everyone learned of this, their dissatisfaction gradually disappeared. It turned out that this was a disguised search for a disciple who could cultivate at the same time. There were many similarities between the two, so it wasn't a problem to cultivate at the same time. Everyone's eyes lit up. This meant that there was also value in cultivating. So that's what you mean. Why territory, Lord Lu Li? Elder Gu Huang finally understood the situation and smiled. This is a good method. I'm very much in favor of raising more disciples and knowing a bit more. The other elders echoed in agreement. It was clear that territory Lord Lu Li's lord had spoken rather suddenly, and not even they had discussed it. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. In his opinion, the significance is not quite the same. Territory Lord Lu Li likely knows about the God territory war. They need to raise the disciples on this side. If it spreads to this side, the divine forging master can refine pills and weapons. It is quite perfect. As for whether the refiner will also practice refining weapons, there is no need for this. The main focus is to refine pills. After all, refining pills is important enough. What is more important than medicinal pills? Not only can it heal injuries, but it can also enhance cultivation. The position of the Divine Creator Master is very high, but sometimes it is very awkward. Fighting requires weapons, but after all is forged, it is very awkward. The real practical type is still the Pill Refining Master. It's enough to focus on refining pills. When the competition is over, if you are interested, you can report to Elder Wu Yuan and increase the cultivation on this side. Territory Lord Lu Li said, of course, the scores for the second round will be voided. It'll just make you feel more nervous. Everyone was speechless. They didn't expect that all their efforts would go to waste, especially Yi Tianyun's 20 points. After Elder Xiaotian heard this, he was happy in his heart. He looked at Elder Dongyun and smiled. What a waste of time. So what if he is first? The score is still invalid. Elder Dongyun began to be unhappy. In the end, he was happy for nothing. Just as they thought they were busy for nothing, Territory Lord Liu Li looked at Yi Tianyun and smiled. Although the points are not counted, you can still get a reward for the first place, Earth Monarch Tianyun. Immediately, Territory Lord Lu Li stretched out her hand, and a cauldron slowly floated down from the sky and landed in her hand. After Yi Tianyun took it, he was surprised to find that it was a low-grade Heavenly Tao level alchemy furnace. It was definitely a very good treasure. Thank you, Territory Lord Lu Li. After Yi Tianyun received it, he quickly thanked her. He thought that his efforts were in vain, but he didn't expect that Territory Lord Lu Li also gave this furnace to him, which made many pill-refining masters jealous. Elder Xiaotian, who previously laughed at Yi Tianyun for being busy, was slapped again. Although the score is not good, this alchemy furnace is definitely not bad, and it can even be said to be good. This is the alchemy furnace I used before. It is called Jade Flow Alchemy Furnace, and its grade is not bad. This will be your compensation. The other participants will also receive compensation. When the time comes, Elder Wu Yuan will naturally tell you. The fact that Territory Lord Lu Li did not reward them made them very disappointed. When the time comes to find Elder Wu Yuan for compensation, it is just to pick some good alchemy furnaces or good pill recipes. As for Yi Tianyun, getting a low-grade Heavenly Tao level alchemy furnace is completely different. Elders cannot make this low-grade Heavenly Tao level alchemy furnace, even ordinary Divine Construct Palace, possible. Only the elders with good standards can make it, and the success rate is very low. This type of treasure has always been extremely difficult to forge and is not so easy to grasp. Of course, Yi Tianyun knows that this is a good thing, and it is also a very good thing, and it is very helpful for him to refine pills. Others are even more jealous. The more he refines these things, the better the effect. For example, although the alchemy furnace given by Territory Lord Lu Li is only low-grade Heavenly Tao level alchemy furnace because it has been used for a long time, the effect is even comparable to middle-grade Heavenly Tao level treasure. The most important thing is to get Territory Lord Lu Li's appreciation. This is what they are jealous of, and now it is taken by Yi Tianyun, making them vomit blood. Become a patron, read up to chapter 13.5T3, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could see. Chapter 15T4, Chapter 15T4. After Yi Tianyun received the reward, the participants and elders who originally thought that he was wasting his energy all shut their mouths. The second stage is over, so prepare to start the third stage. Territory Lord Lu Li didn't stop and was ready to announce the contents of the third stage. When everyone heard this, their hearts jumped. They felt very nervous and worried that Territory Lord Lu Li would ask another abnormal question to let them carve the divine imprint. There was no connection between the two of them at all. After all, the flames of pill refinement worked together. What was the point of carving a divine seal? If there really were a connection, it would be spiritual energy. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled at them. There's no need to be so nervous. This time, there won't be any more questions. Instead, it will be a formal topic. This is the time to show your highest level. The lowest is 0 points and not the highest score. However, there will be a stage score. The elders will have a score. As long as you are strong enough, you will be able to get higher scores. Everyone's eyes lit up. There was no upper limit test. This was indeed what they needed. If they forged the highest level weapons, they would be able to obtain higher scores. As for how to score, it would depend on what the 8 elders said. Let me explain this. The ones who stood out were not Elder Dongyun and Elder Xiaotian, but rather low-key Elder Liang Ji. Although his level was not the highest, his temper was not as bad as theirs. The score is very simple. The rebirth level calculates the lowest. It is not counted as a score lower than the rebirth level. The highest score is for refining treasures. The medium is for refining weapons, and the lowest is for refining defense equipment. The score is 5 points, 3 points, and 2 points. Moving up a level, the score will double. As for the other details, there will also be additional points. This has to be refined before it can be assessed. If one refined a middle-grade rebirth level treasure, then it would be worth 10 points. If it were a high-grade treasure, then it would be 20 points. This was built on the previous level to double it, not with the initial double. The difficulty of refining treasures was the highest. The further one went, the higher the difficulty. Therefore, the score was often higher. As for what the treasure was, it was naturally an alchemy furnace, a Shenglyph pen, or some kind of shield-type treasure. These were all practical treasures. As for fighting-type treasures, the score would naturally be lower. These requirements would not be so harsh, so the difficulty of refining would be much lower. Everyone nodded. They already had some thoughts in their minds. You have to perform a bit better and let Territory Lord Lu Li see your astonishing abilities. Elder Xiao Tian sent a voice transmission to Heaven Monarch Shubo, indicating that he was determined to fight. Disciple understands. Heaven Monarch Shubo's eyes were full of fire. Looking at Yi Tianyun, his heart was full of fighting spirit. He felt that he would not lose this time. This free performance is not as strong as the previous restriction, so as long as the refining level is extremely high, then the score can be higher. The same is true for Heaven Monarch Huo Lian. It is time to test their Divine Forging Master level, to test where their real limit is. It can be said that they are aiming for the high-grade rebirth level treasure. This is the limit of most people. As for the low-grade rebirth level, it is too difficult. It can be said that it is a heaven-defying level. The score is definitely not as simple as double. Elder Liangji said that this was the standard of the rebirth level. The heavenly Dao level was not told because, in their opinion, the disciples present could not refine a heavenly Dao level weapon. Although there was no upper limit, there was a limit to the ability. If someone really refined a heavenly Dao level weapon, then they would talk about other things. Junior, Mother, you are at a disadvantage this time. It is already very good to be able to refine a middle-grade rebirth treasure steadily. Yes, the previous test was not a specialized attack. Now, it was a specialized attack. If the grade was too low, there was no way to rush up. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and the others shook their heads. They all knew that Yi Tianyun's level was very good, but the grade was too low, so the level he could refine was naturally lower. If Yi Tianyun had more time, he would definitely be able to surpass them easily, but now Yi Tianyun is still young, and he still needs to go through a lot of tests. Yi Tianyun just smiled casually and did not say anything. Indeed, in their opinion, he is only at the level of a first-grade Divine Forging Master at most, but in fact he can still level up. As long as he hopes, there will be no problem for him to reach the third-grade Divine Forging Master next time. Because of the upgrade data, the Sin points and Proficiency points are shared, and even the Crazy points can be used with each other so that he can smash and level up. It will only consume a lot of Sin points and Proficiency points, but if he really can't rush up, he can only do this. After all, he was determined to go to the Watercore area to cultivate. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to break through to the 10 Refinements Earth Monarch. That was the eternal first Earth Monarch in all of history. Who could compare to this kind of honor? The competition will last for a month. There is enough time for you to forge the most proud weapons. I hope that you can obtain the best results in this test, Elder Liangji announced. After Elder Liangji announced the start of the competition officially began. The materials were still picked from the side. The elders prepared a lot of materials, even the materials to refine the Heavenly Dao level. This was not a problem. Originally, Divine Construct Palace specialized in this one, so there were naturally many materials. After the beginning, one by one, Yi Tianyun quickly went to get the materials. The materials he first got were directly the materials to forge high-grade rebirth level treasures. The difficulty of forging the Heavenly Dao level is a bit high. It is very good to be able to forge high-grade rebirth level treasures steadily. Anyway, he is slightly ahead of the first level. If he can reach the top of this level, then he can get the top 3. His actions will naturally attract everyone's attention. After all, he is too conspicuous in the first 2 levels, too high profile, and will naturally pay attention to his actions. When the elders saw that he was refining high-grade rebirth level materials, they all frowned. Could it be that Yi Tianyun's level has reached 2nd and 3rd level? However, according to his cultivation level, he should not be able to break through to 2nd and 3rd so quickly. It is already very good to be able to be a first-grade Divine Forging Master, especially since he has amazing refining skills. If the Divine Forging Master can be at the 2nd and 3rd levels, wouldn't it be heaven-defying? Upgrade Divine Forging Master. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and gave the order. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could. Chapter 155, Chapter 1155, Ding successfully deducted 6 million proficiency points. Due to insufficient proficiency points, the corresponding value will be deducted from the sin points. Ding successfully upgraded to 2nd grade Divine Forging Master, obtaining a brand new forging recipe and ability, increasing the success rate of forging. Upgrade again. Ding successfully deducted 500 million mastery. Due to insufficient mastery, the corresponding value will be deducted from the sin points and crazy value points and converted to proficiency points. Ding successfully upgraded to the 3rd level of Divine Forging Master and obtained a brand new forging recipe and ability. In one breath, he went from the 1st grade Divine Forging Master to the 3rd grade Divine Forging Master and immediately caught up with the genius disciples like Heaven Monarch Huo Lian, which could be said to be equal in rank. In the state of being equal, refining high-grade rebirth level treasure is not very difficult, and he has a lot of things to support him. The success rate is much higher than theirs. After successfully upgrading, Yi Tianyun began to refine without panic. He did not display sacred fire, but displayed demon fire to refine. Burning Heaven's sacred fire can greatly increase the success rate, but he will not reveal it for the time being unless he has no other choice. He still intends to keep this trump card. If he cannot reveal it, then he will not reveal it. Moreover, the 2 great demon fire are enough for him to refine this high-grade rebirth level treasure. He does not need Burning Heaven's sacred fire to appear. Immediately, Yi Tianyun quickly began to refine. Piles of materials directly threw into the fire furnace. It can be said to be an extremely violent refining method. Yi Tianyun ignored their gazes and quickly began to refine. The strong flame continuously melted the materials and began to refine them. His technique is stunning. This level is already the ability of a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master, not the ability of a 1st grade Divine Forging Master. With so many elders watching and some disciples who understand the situation, Yi Tianyun's technique is quite skilled, who said that he is only a 1st grade Divine Forging Master. My god, isn't he a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master? Even if he is a 2nd grade Divine Alchemist, how can he even reach 3rd grade Divine Forging Master? All the elders were going crazy. If the 2 could cultivate to this level, how much effort would it take to reach this level? I was delayed by alchemy. If I didn't refine pills, I would have already reached 4th grade Divine Forging Master. Elder Dongyun was heartbroken, feeling as if he was biting back at Elder Wu Yuan. Elder Wu Yuan was not looking too good. He also did not expect Yi Tianyun to be so amazing in terms of Divine Forging Master. In this way, it would be difficult to dig out the Divine Construct Palace, which was not good news for him. This junior brother is really good at hiding. He did not use his full strength before. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and the others shook their heads. They thought that Yi Tianyun was only at the 1st grade Divine Forging Master, but now it seems that they are all wrong. Yes, but we will not admit defeat. Even if we are in the same camp, we will have to compete. Heaven Monarch Yu Long laughed, and the flame in his hand rose, increasing the flame to refine the materials. Although they are in the same camp, they will not go easy on each other. They all show their strongest strength honestly. In the end, the winner will depend on the individual's ability, not their own teammates who go easy on them. This was a test for everyone, so there was no point in showing any mercy. Not just the 2 of them, but the others all displayed their highest level. In order to get into the top 3, they put in a lot of effort and used all their strength. Boom! Along with an explosion, everyone looked over and found that Heaven Monarch Shubo had exploded. When everyone thought that Heaven Monarch Shubo had failed, they looked closely and found that Heaven Monarch Shubo had not failed. Instead, the materials in the fire furnace continued to explode. Every time it exploded, a pile of impurities would be refined. Such a method was extremely terrifying. It was simply a completely new method of tempering. It was very rare to see such a situation. This is an explosion stream. It is a relatively rare sect. If I weren't careful, even the furnace would be blown up. Now that you mention it, I really remember. This explosion stream is extremely terrifying. It can maximize the effects of the materials. It seems that he didn't simply refine it. Instead, he wants to break through to a higher level. Break through to a higher realm? Don't tell me that he wants to refine other heavenly Dao weapons? They were all stunned. Could a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master refine something else at the heavenly Dao level? That was simply impossible. The success rate was too low. It was basically negligible. Generally, there was only one possibility of failure in doing so. You want to refine another weapon at the heavenly Dao level? Elder Dongyun and the others frowned. It is not a good thing to refine something at a higher level. Elder Xiaotian sneered. Who said that Heaven Monarch Shubo is only a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master? You are all too naive. He has just broken through recently. What? 4th grade Divine Forging Master? The elders were shocked. To reach a 4th grade Divine Forging Master at such a level, wasn't this a little too fast? Following closely behind Heaven Monarch Shubo, he indeed displayed his abilities. The standard of a 4th grade Divine Forging Master was immediately displayed. Whether it was fire control or skill, none of them could be shown by a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master. The grade is not as straightforward as the cultivation level. Most of it depends on the technique, and the one who can refine the Heavenly Tao level must be a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. Heaven Monarch Shubo was proud. This was what he was most proud of. He couldn't use this ability in the previous 2 stages. Now, he can finally show his strength and make everyone look at him in a new light. He also looked at Yi Tianyun with a bit of provocation in his eyes, as if he was saying that he won the 1st and 2nd stages, and finally, the 3rd stage was the key. Yi Tianyun was expressionless. He was too lazy to care about this guy. He didn't ask him to get 1st place, he just wanted to get the top 3. In any case, he could request if he got the top 3. Then, there was no need to get 1st place. He observed his surroundings. Most of them were middle-grade rebirth level weapon, while some were high-grade rebirth level weapon. He only needed to refine the high-grade rebirth level weapon. With a bit of special materials, he would be able to get into the top 3. When he wanted to choose a low level, he heard a clear voice. Ding successfully accepted the special mission, which takes 1st place in the Divine Construct Palace. After completing the reward, you will be rewarded with a blacksmithing godstone, 100 million crazy value points, 10 million mastery points. At the same time, you will be able to obtain the title of the strongest Divine Construct Palace's newcomer king. When a lot of information came out, Yi Tianyun was stunned. Wasn't this forcing him to take 1st place? Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach 1st goal if you could, ma. Chapter 156, Chapter 156. It seems that I can't keep a low profile anymore. Yi Tianyun shook his head and thought he could enter the top 3 in peace. He doesn't need to take 1st place. Now, it seems that he can only take 1st place. There are so many good things in front of him. If he doesn't get 1st place, it will be a waste. Although it is not a must task, these rare things and titles are excellent. How can he give up? He glanced briefly at it and knew he could not give up. For example, the Blacksmithing Godstone had a fantastic effect. Blacksmithing Godstone. This can significantly increase blacksmithing's success rate and turn the effect over 5 times, as expected of a Blacksmithing Godstone. This effect was tempting. It could directly increase the material of forging by 5 times. He remembered the World Divine Rune and the previous Divine Rune. They could also be doubled, but the effect was horrible in the God territory. This was similar to the material of the Mortal territory. In the God territory, it became highly ordinary. The previous Divine Rune naturally would not be used now, therefore he had never engraved the Divine Rune on his weapon. Even if he was a God Rune Master, he had not engraved them. It can only be said that if the effect is too ordinary, it is better to change a weapon. It seems that I can only take 1st place. I have to say that the Divine Construct Palace is full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. It even has a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. One Yi Tianyun shook his head. He thought that the highest was a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master, but who knew that there would be a strong one? No wonder Elder Xiaotian is so confident. How can he not be convinced to have such a fantastic disciple? As for the disciples under the other elders, their ranks are not low, but they are still far away from a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and the others only glanced at it before continuing to refine it like crazy. They were only slightly surprised before they calmed down and continued refining. After all, there were 3 spots. Heaven Monarch Shu Bo occupied 1. There were still 2 spots. They just needed to charge into those 2 spots. When the Territory Lord Lu Li saw Heaven Monarch Shu Bo's condition, she nodded in satisfaction. There's also a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. The disciples closest to the Divine Construct Palace seem very skilled. That's right, that's right. Elder Xiao Tian's ability to nurture disciples is still something to be sure of. Elder Gu Huang was also pleased to see a good genius disciple appear. As a great elder, he would be happy. It seems that he might be the one who won 1st place in the 3rd stage. It can even be said that the champion seat should be him. I don't think so. Earth Monarch Tianyun feels that he hasn't used his full strength. He should be able to charge forward. Territory Lord Lu Li looked at Yi Tianyun. It can't be. With his cultivation, it is already amazing that he can become a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master. How can he reach the 4th grade? Elder Gu Huang didn't quite believe it. After all, breaking through to the 4th rank wasn't easy. There was a massive gap between the 2. I'm not sure about that. To complete the Heavenly Venerable Road and climb to the 9 refinements Earth Monarch as a human, I can see infinite possibilities, sighed Territory Lord Lu Li. Is that so? Elder Gu Huang looked at Yi Tianyun and finally shook his head. If Yi Tianyun can still display the ability of a 4th grade Divine Forging Master, it would be terrifying. Yi Tianyun naturally has difficulty breaking through to a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. That requires 1 billion experience points. If he can upgrade to a 4th grade Divine Forging Master, he must pay a lot of money. When he was ready to increase his strength to refine, a divine light came from the side and descended from the sky, covering the furnace of Heaven Monarch Shu Bo. Seeing this holy light meant that the weapon he refined was ready to receive the blessing of Heavenly Divine Light. The most significant difference between the Heavenly Tao level and the Rebirth level is that it has the power of Heavenly Tao. However, how much heavenly divine light can be pulled down depends on his ability. If too much of it was pulled down, it would quickly fail. It would lead to a terrifying heavenly tribulation. If too little were dragged down, it would cause too little heavenly Tao divine light. As a result, if it did not reach the standard, it would naturally be impossible to reach another level of heavenly Tao. Get down. Heaven Monarch Shubo's fingers moved continuously. The light in his hands continuously flew upwards, dragging this heavenly Tao divine light down one after another. It was like pulling a river, dragging this heavenly Tao divine light down inch by inch. After dragging it down, he slowly pulled the heavenly Tao divine light into the furnace. Then he slowly fused it into the armor, causing the armor within the stove to be covered in a faint layer of rainbow light. Heaven Monarch Shu No had just stabilized his cultivation. Naturally, he was very cautious. He did not dare to refine a heavenly Tao-grade treasure. He could only choose the type of armor. It could be said that he lowered the difficulty to the lowest. His success rate was the highest. As long as he successfully refined it, he could look down on the masses. Although he did not have a score evaluation, he could look down on the masses. At the very least, his score was something that rebirth level could not surpass. Even if he refined a treasure, it would be useless. He would be easily crushed. Heaven Monarch Shubo had a grave expression after dragging down quite a bit of the divine light. Even Elder Xiaotian's expression was extremely grave. This was the most crucial step. If he failed the last step, then he would lose everything. However, nothing unexpected happened. After controlling the suitable divine light, it was forcefully sealed up by Heaven Monarch Shubo. Following that, it released a dazzling rainbow light. It directly soared into the sky, indicating that a heavenly Tao-grade item had descended. "Come out!" Heaven Monarch Shubo waved his hand, and a piece of armor flew out from the furnace and landed in his hand. This armor had a faint colored pattern, revealing its extraordinary qualities. Success! Heaven Monarch Shubo was already sweaty as if he had just been fished from the water. Although this was not his first success, the failure rate was extremely high. To be the first to win, he could only give it a try. Obviously, the heavens favored him this time, allowing him to succeed. Good, Elder Xiaotian laughed loudly. He turned to look at Elder Dongyun and said, "Elder Dongyun, what level can your disciple refine this time?" His face was full of pride. He was already very confident. Heavenly Tao-level blacksmithing was rarely seen in the past. Unless one was exceptionally skilled, it was complicated to succeed. Just like that, Heaven Monarch Shubo succeeded. It could be considered a great success, even if it was just armor level. It was enough to be recorded in the annals of history. Just fight steadily, there is more than one quota. Elder Dongyun felt hopeless. How could he not know the level of his disciple? Yi Tianyun is in the 3rd grade. It is complicated to reach the level of Heavenly Tao at this level, so he can only be disappointed. They think so, but Yi Tianyun does not think so. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could. Chapter 157. Chapter 157, Yi Tianyun is in the 3rd grade. No one will think that he can create miracles. One miracle is enough for a miracle. It is impossible to make a second time. Elder Xiaotian looked at Yi Tianyun and then looked at Elder Dongyun. He smiled proudly and said, "Come to think of it, his ability is at most in the 3rd grade. It is impossible to surpass him. With your level, that is it." This time, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Being able to secure the champion position was of great significance to them. Although the top 3 could get rewards, what was more dazzling than the first place? No matter what, most of the elders, like Elder Dongyun, had already lost the confidence to take first place. Who among their disciples could surpass the Heavenly Tao-grade armor? It could be said that no one could surpass it, especially if they wanted to succeed. It all depended on luck. For Heaven Monarch Shubo to succeed, luck plays a large part. This type of person could barely reach the 4th grade, Divine Forging Master. They could not be considered a proper 4th grade Divine Forging Master. Since they successfully refined it, they could already be regarded as a 4th grade Divine Forging Master. Heaven Monarch Shubo's success rate is usually 20 to 30%. However, he still succeeded. This was luck. Fortunately, he succeeded. If he failed, he would have to start over again. He wasted a lot of time, and his energy was considerable. However, it was no longer critical whether it was due to luck or not. He would be the king of victory as long as he could succeed. Look, what is that human boy doing? It seems like he is constantly adding new materials. It is. The materials that look more precious seem to be refining other Heavenly Tao-grade materials. It can't be. Didn't he want to refine a rebirth level before? How did he raise it to the Heavenly Tao level now? Isn't this too exaggerated? Can it still be played like this? I know a little about this. If there is room for improvement in the original refining, it can be added to the materials to continue refining. All of them were shocked by Yi Tianyun's action, and suddenly they were promoted with the ability of a 3rd grade Divine Forging Master. Doesn't it mean that they want to die? Haha, this fool suddenly rose, wants to overtake us? Elder Dongyun, are your disciples so arrogant? A 3rd grade Divine Forging Master wants to refine the level of Heavenly Tao. The power of the explosion will be pretty amazing. Elder Dongyun was also shocked by Yi Tianyun's action. This is the level of Heavenly Tao. If he can reverse the tide, then it will be severe. The power of the explosion is terrific. It is not something an ordinary level can resist. However, he did not shout to stop Yi Tianyun. They can't interfere with their disciple, and they can't interfere with their own disciple's judgment at will. They can only watch from the side in silence. Can you create a miracle? Elder Dongyun did not speak but was puzzled in his heart. Yi Tianyun's action attracted the attention of all the elders. They all looked strange, even if they didn't understand. They all knew what Yi Tianyun was refining. Is he crazy? I remember that the materials he refined should be the type of reincarnation treasure. The difficulty is not low, forcibly raised. Doesn't it mean to refine heavenly Tao treasure? Yes. Even if you want to rush, you should stop the refining before, change armor type, and have a relatively high success rate. He is directly refining heavenly Tao level treasure, too reckless. Some of the more knowledgeable ones shook their heads, thinking that Yi Tianyun was too unwise. The most suitable way is to remove the current refining and choose a lower difficulty and a higher success rate. Heavenly Tao level treasures must have the highest score, but they waste time and energy once they fail. Yi Tianyun certainly knows how difficult it is. He keeps waving his hands and exerting all his strength. It is undeniable that the heavenly Tao level is complicated. The success rate is fixed at 10%. It can be said to be very low. However, if you want first place, you must do it. Even if you use demon fire, the success rate is still 10%. If the master is too tricky, achieving an extremely high level will be difficult if you don't improve it. The success rate is only 10%, then let's increase it. Lucky Halo, activate. Under the crazy activation of Lucky Halo, the success rate suddenly increased to 50%. This is the limit of Lucky Halo. There is no way to continue to break through. The remaining half of the success rate will depend on his ability to fill it up. However, increasing the success rate to 50% is already quite impressive. Yi Tianyun did not end it so quickly. His eyes flashed. Looks like I can only use the Burning Heaven Sacred Fire. He could only use the Burning Heaven Sacred Fire because after using it, the success rate of forging would increase by 20%. The success rate would naturally increase with the support of a good Sacred Fire. Initially, he did not intend to use it. Now, it seemed that he could not suppress it. To obtain first place, he could only use it. However, it was not a problem to expose it. In any case, no one could snatch away this treasure. It would only value him a little. Bear. Suddenly, a Burning Heaven Sacred Fire appeared in the air. She would be shocked if God Monarch Yuchen were next to him. Yi Tianyun used her own Burning Heaven Sacred Fire. Now, not to mention God Monarch Yuchen, it can be said that all the elders present were shocked. Some stood up and were shocked. Sacred Fire? It's Sacred Fire. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to have Sacred Fire. The rarity of Sacred Fire is much higher than that of Demon Fire. Now Yi Tianyun has not only Demon Fire, but also Sacred Fire. Yi Tianyun ignored their shocked eyes and added other materials to refine the impurities of these materials and reinforce them layer by layer. Soon, divine light began to descend from the sky, meaning it reached the last step. This heavenly Tao treasure will succeed as long as the corresponding divine light is dragged over. One last step. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He looked up at the descending heavenly Tao divine light. He raised his hand and took off the divine light, dragging it into his heavenly Tao treasure. However, when he was dragging it, it was as if he was pulling someone else out of the river. It was complicated to drag it down. Every time he dragged it, it consumed a lot of experience. He felt that the star power in his body was drained, as expected of a heavenly Tao treasure. This segment has already made many divine forging masters fail here. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1061, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could mine chapter 158. Chapter 158. The effect of this heavenly Tao divine light is almost the same as what was caused by Heaven Monarch Shu Bo. It depends on how much he can pull down. The more heavenly Tao divine light is pulled down, the more difficult it will be. The advantage is that it can improve the effect of treasures. If the amount of divine light pulled down is too little, the result will be a direct failure. This is the most serious. Every heavenly Tao level treasure has its standard, and the type of defense needs to be a little less because the difficulty of dragging it down is not only very great, but it is also more challenging to control. Yi Tianyun now feels very difficult. It feels like pulling a river, but the other party is not an ordinary person, but a giant. The force of the drag makes him feel like he is dealing with a Heaven Monarch level expert. No wonder people think he is not a 4th grade divine forging master. Just the power of dragging the divine light is extreme. The consumption is also substantial. After breaking through to the Heaven Monarch realm, the star power inside the body is more, and the endurance is more muscular. Therefore, even if a 4th grade divine forging master is too weak, it is also not recommended to forge a heavenly Tao level item. However, Yi Tianyun did this, and he felt that he was not a problem. Earth Monarch Cultivation, how dare he play like this? It seems that dragging the heavenly Tao divine light is very difficult. I wonder if he can hold on. To forge a heavenly Tao level treasure, there is more divine light to drag. Can that kid hold on? If it fails, it will be funny. There is not much time left. If it fails, I don't know if it will be too late to forge it. They initially thought that Yi Tianyun's grade was insufficient, but now it seems that the grade is not a problem, but the cultivation cannot keep up. Elder Xiaotian and the others were stunned, and then they breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Yi Tianyun's cultivation is low, and the difficulty is higher. It seems it is elementary to fail and cannot be successfully forged. Failure must fail. Elder Xiaotian and the others didn't shout out in front of so many people, but they were still scolded to death by the other elders. Even Territory Lord Lu Li would be unhappy to curse others like this, so they could only pray that Yi Tianyun would fail immediately. On the other hand, Elder Dongyun kept praying that Yi Tianyun would succeed. However, Yi Tianyun looked increasingly tired, and it was difficult to drag a part of the divine light down, making him feel very difficult. This divine light is a bit difficult and consumes much energy. The Heavenly Tao divine light level treasure seems too difficult to drag. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes, trying to find a way to relax. Elder Xiaotian couldn't help but laugh when he was stuck here. Sometimes it is too greedy. The result is a failure. The level is good, but the cultivation is too weak. If you cultivate for a while more and participate, you may succeed. Elder Dongyun, this is a pity. Elder Xiaotian had something to say. It sounded like a pity, but in fact it was a kind of irony. With his personality, saying this kind of word was equivalent to a weasel paying tribute to a chicken. How could it be true? Shut your mouth. This has not failed yet, Elder Dongyun shouted at him. Now that Yi Tianyun has not failed, how can Elder Dongyun not be angry? You're already like this, yet you're still holding on. Elder Xiaotian said with disdain. I won't say anything about you supporting your disciple, but now it seems like it has become a fact, and you're still holding on. Elder Xiaotian, you've forgotten what you said before. What happened next? Elder Dongyun sneered. Elder Xiaotian's expression was dark as he said, that was before. It looks like it's tough to succeed now. If he can succeed, I will eat this furnace. Everyone turned to look at him in shock. He even said this, is he not afraid of being slapped? He said so confidently, to a large extent, he saw that Yi Tianyun is very tired. If this continues, there is no way to succeed, but he will collapse. Elder Xiaotian, I look forward to you eating this furnace. The one who answered him was Yi Tianyun, who was on the side. Even Yi Tianyun heard their bet and turned to look at him. Yi Tianyun immediately circulated the power in his body. This is the power of the Heavenly Venerable bestowed by Heavenly Venerable Hao Han. This is an existence that can suppress the power of Heavenly Tao. After circulating it, he suddenly pulled down the Heavenly Tao Divine Light. Under this drag, the Heavenly Tao Divine Light was quickly pulled down and stuffed into the Heavenly Tao treasure. This feeling was like the opponent was wilting, causing the opponent to let go and be unable to continue dragging Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun pulled down the Heavenly Tao Divine Light one after another. It was as easy as drinking water. As expected of the power of Heavenly Venerable, it has a special effect in suppressing the power of Heavenly Tao. Yi Tianyun was pleasantly surprised. It seems that the power given to him by Heavenly Venerable Hao Han is still handy, especially in tool forging. It has a unique effect. This scene made everyone widen their eyes. They were shocked by Yi Tianyun's action. Before, it was still tricky to pull down the Divine Light, but in the blink of an eye, he could easily pull down the Heavenly Tao Divine Light. It felt like he became a giant, able to drag anything down. This is impossible. Elder Xiaotian and the others were shocked. Yi Tianyun immediately slapped them in the face. Was he pretending before? But whether he is pretending or not, he has already said it. Doesn't he want to swallow this furnace? Interesting, as expected of someone who has finished the Heavenly Venerable Road and knows how to use the power of the Heavenly Venerable. There was a strange look in the light blue eyes of the Territory Lord Lu Li, and she appreciated Yi Tianyun's action. Although Territory Lord Lu Li is not a Heavenly Venerable, she is infinitely close to a Heavenly Venerable. She can feel its energy fluctuation, so when Yi Tianyun used it, he immediately sensed it. Yes, no wonder he dared to try it. It turns out that he has the power of a Heavenly Venerable. Elder Guhuang slapped his thigh, his eyes full of surprise. This is Yi Tianyun's trump card. Not only does he have the Burning Heaven Sacred Fire, but he also has the power of a Heavenly Venerable. With the support of two abilities, how can he not be refined? Yi Tianyun quickly cut off a large part of the Heavenly Tao Divine Light, not daring to drop it. If he continued to drag it down, it would be beyond his control. Although he has the power of a Heavenly Venerable, the power of a Heavenly Venerable is not omnipotent, especially if he drags too much. The result is that he will trigger a terrible heavenly tribulation. Such a heaven-defying treasure will naturally be dissatisfied by the heavens, and he wants to suppress it altogether. In his current situation, dealing with this heavenly tribulation is difficult, especially in front of so many people. He does not want to reveal his combat strength. These cards can be exposed, but the combat strength is different. It is risking his life. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could per secture 1159. Chapter 1159. After Yi Tianyun stopped dragging the Heavenly Tao Divine Light, he began to merge it. The heavenly Tao treasure inside began to integrate with the heavenly Tao divine light bit by bit. It seemed that there was no rejection situation. Everything went very smoothly. Although the consumption was shocking, the planet inside his body was huge, and the star power contained far more than that of a cultivator of the same level. He was now a 9 refinements Earth monarch, but the energy in his body was comparable to the 5th layer Heaven monarch. This was the capital of his arrogance. Therefore, refining this heavenly Tao treasure was not a problem at all. There was difficulty, but everything was within his control, especially with Luck Halo's protection. The refining success rate was greatly improved. However, this was a critical moment. Whether he could completely fuse the heavenly Tao divine light was also a great difficulty. Everyone's heart was in their throat. As for the performance of the other participants, the audience had already ignored them. It felt like everything was just a foil. If Yi Tianyun successfully refined it, even if it was Heaven Monarch Shubo, he would be a foil. A human refined a heavenly Tao level treasure. It was an extremely incredible thing. No one would believe it if it was said. Failure will fail. Elder Xiaotian was going crazy. If he succeeded in the last step, he would go crazy. However, no matter how much he prayed, he could not stop Yi Tianyun's success. Finally, with his strong foundation, he succeeded in refining this heavenly Tao level treasure. Buzz. A bracelet flew out of the furnace with a pleasant sound and landed steadily in his hand. The bracelet was engraved with specks of starlight. It looked like there were countless stars on it. It looked wonderful. Especially with the power of heavenly Tao, the faint color covered it, forming circles of ripples. The refining is done. Elders, please give a score. Yi Tianyun raised the bracelet in his hand, his face full of excitement and excitement. He finally refined it, and he can prove his ability in front of everyone, proving that the human race also has infinite possibilities, not the lowest level of existence. When these words came out, it was like thunder piercing their ears. Elder Xiaotian was even more stunned, staring at the bracelet in Yi Tianyun's hand, feeling that it was so incredible. In the end, Yi Tianyun refined it, an incredible treasure, an existence that is enough to be recorded in history. Yi Tianyun broke the new record. His cultivation is not at the Heaven Monarch level, refining a heavenly Tao level treasure enough to look down on all the geniuses in the history of Divine Construct Palace. In particular, it was successfully refined using the identity of a human, causing everyone to be amazed. Good. Elder Dongyun laughed loudly, and his heart was excited to the point of going crazy. The other elders didn't know what to say. They had already been successfully refined like this, so what else could they say? That's right, he's successfully refined it. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled faintly. A very talented human. He's the most talented human I've ever seen in my life. It looks like he was the one who won the final championship. He did indeed obtain it. Elder Gu Huang had a complicated look in his eyes. I didn't think a disciple recruited from the first-grade god territory would be so dazzling. It's a good thing that we managed to obtain this discipline. If it were to be obtained by another god territory, it would be a loss for us. Yes, and it would be a great loss. Given enough time, he'll become a great weapon in the future. He can break through to the Heavenly Venerable. A rare, happy smile appeared on the beautiful face of Territory Lord Lu Li. It seems that there is no way to dig it out. Elder Wu Yuan looked at the dazzling bracelet and suddenly felt bitter. With such cultivation, he can forge a fabulous heavenly Tao level treasure, which means that Yi Tianyun's achievements in forging are even higher. There is no need to judge the score anymore. Yi Tianyun will be the champion unless someone can surpass him, but it seems that no one can surpass him, and all of them become foil. Heaven Monarch Shubo's face was pale. He initially thought he could get first place, but now he was pressed to the ground by Yi Tianyun and even rubbed against him several times. What arrogance! What genius! All of them were smashed to pieces. Elder Xiaotian, can you eat this furnace now? Fortunately, my disciple is a bit better. Otherwise, I really can't see you eat this furnace. Elder Dongyun sneered. This is the result of his mouth, just standing there obediently and saying such words. Elder Xiaotian was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. It was one thing for the first place to be robbed, but now he had to eat this furnace in front of so many people. It was simply inhumane. Good, good, I'll eat. Elder Xiaotian roared and turned into a vast fire snake. He opened his huge mouth and swallowed one of the furnaces. Then, he returned to his original state. The furnace was swallowed down just like that. This scene made everyone dumbfounded. He swallowed it. However, eating a furnace was not a problem for him at all. He was initially from the Antiquity Giant Snake Clan. He could become a colossal snake demon and swallow a furnace without any problem. If there is no change, then it is awkward, such as a vast furnace. How can it be swallowed, crushed the furnace into powder, and swallowed bit by bit? Yi Tianyun almost spat when he saw it. It was simply cheating. He thought the difficulty was higher, but who knew it was easy? For Elder Xiaotian, there is no difficulty. After eating, Elder Dongyun was speechless and could only consent to Elder Xiaotian's promise. Are you satisfied? Elder Xiaotian glared at him fiercely. Satisfied. Elder Dongyun looked at him and said with a faint smile, At least Elder Xiaotian is a man of his word. This is my loss. Elder Xiaotian snorted and didn't say anything else. Anyway, they couldn't win now. Soon after they finished, the others all finished. The highest grade was nothing more than a high-grade rebirth level treasure. Someone else also refined it. However, it was already overshadowed compared to the heavenly Tao level refined by Yi Tianyun and Heaven Monarch Shu Bo. It couldn't be compared with it at all. Heaven Monarch Yu Long and Heaven Monarch Huo Lian also released their highest level and rushed into the top 5. However, they still didn't enter the top 3, but it was already an excellent result to be able to enter the top 5. Now, the results are announced. The top 3 will be Earth Monarch Tianyun, Heaven Monarch Shu Bo, and Heaven Monarch Wuda. You can receive my guidance and make a request. You can raise this now or wait until the end to come to the Temple of Territory Lord. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled lightly. As for the other participants, your performance is also excellent, and you will also receive a reward. Finally, the Divine Construct Palace competition ended perfectly, and Yi Tianyun took first place. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could. Chapter 160. Chapter 160. The disciples participating in the Divine Construct Palace competition will receive a reward. Still, the problem is that there are other levels. Some get ordinary, some get good, and Yi Tianyun gets very good. Yi Tianyun did not mention this request in front of everyone. After all, this can only be said out loud. It is better to say it to Territory Lord Lu Li. There is no need to say it in front of so many people. After the end, the audience dispersed, but they all remembered a participant, Yi Tianyun. A human cultivator successfully won the championship, suppressing the crowd. Ding! The task takes first place in the Divine Construct Palace. Reward, 1 blacksmithing godstone, 100 million crazy points, and 10 million mastery points. At the same time, you can get the title, the strongest Divine Construct Palace Newcomer King. The most muscular Divine Construct Palace Newcomer King in Heavenly Spring God territory, forging things can increase the success rate by 10, and command value will increase by 2,000 points. This title is quite good. It can increase the success rate of forging, but it is limited to Heavenly Spring God territory. After going out, it will not have any effect. The rewards for these tasks are still excellent. Yi Tianyun is very satisfied with this. Occasionally, coming to these tasks and completing them in passing is very good. At this time, he has returned with Elder Dongyun. All of them are cheering. Yi Tianyun won first place. Before, they didn't have much confidence in Yi Tianyun. They just hoped that Yi Tianyun wouldn't be the last one. Who knew that Yi Tianyun rushed to first place in one breath? Even their senior brother was inferior to him. What followed was a collective carnival. Once again, they came to the restaurant to drink and celebrate Yi Tianyun getting first place. They have always been at the bottom. Now, they can finally be proud. Even without Yi Tianyun's help, Heaven Monarch Huo Lian and Heaven Monarch Yu Long can win glory for them. Although they can't get the top 3, at least they can enter the top 5. This is an excellent result. No one will look down on them. After the celebration, Yi Tianyun went to the Domain Lord Temple to find the Temple of Territory Lord. What he wants to do most now is to condense the water core quickly. The rest is temporarily put aside. Under the guidance of the Temple of Territory, the guards brought him to where Territory Lord Lu Li was. Just as he entered, he saw Heavenly Monarch Shu Bo walk out from within. The two exchanged a glance. Heavenly Monarch Shu Bo was silent momentarily before saying, "I definitely won't lose next time. I hope so." Yi Tianyun just smiled and didn't say anything more to him. There will be a next chance? He was not interested in these small fights. When his cultivation rose, he didn't know where he should go. How could he still compete with them in the Divine Construct Palace? If not for the sake of entering the water core to cultivate, he would be too lazy to pay attention to this Divine Construct Palace competition. After entering, what came into view was a world of water, surrounded by water star power. Between breaths, he felt like he was absorbing a thick ocean, making him feel cold. He felt a colossal water core under his feet as soon as he came in. Dense water star power surged up from under his feet, which was a great help to cultivators with water attributes. Territory Lord Lu Li owned such a shocking place that he stayed there to cultivate every day. Territory Lord Lu Li. After Yi Tianyun came in, he saw her leaning lazily on the chair. "Yes, you're here." Territory Lord Lu Li slowly sat up and raised her hand. Everything was so natural that even the water star power around her began to ripple. Territory Lord Lu Li, this junior, is here to ask for a favor. Yi Tianyun immediately stated his purpose. "Tell me, I promised you before that I can do it for you as long as it is within my acceptable range." Territory Lord Lu Li said, "However, I don't think you need to give me too much advice. After you have passed the Heavenly Venerate Road, the Heavenly Venerate's advice must be more useful than mine." "No, my lord, you can't put it that way. The Heavenly Venerable Tao has limited guidance, especially since the Lord has a special constitution. If the attributes are the same, it would be better if the Lord were to guide you." Yi Tianyun smiled. "I'm also just an in-name Heavenly Venerable Hao Han disciple. I'm not an official disciple, so I won't receive any guidance. Therefore, if I don't understand anything, I would like to ask for your guidance." He was speaking the truth. Heavenly Venerable Hao Han didn't give them any pointers. He was just giving them martial arts. He didn't say anything else. If he wanted to receive complete guidance, he had to at least break through to the Heavenly Venerable realm. That was far from enough. Territory Lord Lu Li was already halfway into the Heavenly Venerable Realm. She didn't have the qualifications to give pointers. Who had the qualifications to provide pointers? That sounds nice. Let's hear what your request is first, Territory Lord Lu Lil said with a faint smile. Disciple wishes to cultivate at the watercore for some time. I wonder if you are willing, Yi Tianyun immediately said. Boom! At this time, a strong wave of air came down from all directions, significantly impacting Yi Tianyun. There is no doubt that his request has touched the heart of Territory Lord Lu Li. Do you know what you were saying? The aura of the Territory Lord Lu Li didn't fade away, but she looked at him coldly. I know what I'm talking about. The watercore is rigorous, and the slightest mistake will affect the cultivation of the territory of Lord Lu Li, which is closely related to breaking through to the Heavenly Venerable Realm. Therefore, it's not that I can't go in casually, lest I affect Territory Lord Lu Li. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, I will never do anything. I want to cultivate in the watercore to complete the final breakthrough. Complete the final breakthrough? Territory Lord Lu Li looked him up and down and said, You have the sacred fire. It is an existence that contrasts with our water attribute. How can you use the water core? This is the most important thing for her right now. Yi Tianyun is right. She is not too vigilant when others enter, but Yi Tianyun has the burning heaven sacred fire. If she is careless, it will affect her cultivation. This is a long story, but Disciple does need the water core to cultivate. I hope the Territory Lord Lu Li can help. Yi Tianyun didn't say too much. If he explained that he came here to break through to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch, would she believe him? Territory Lord Lu Li narrowed her eyes and looked at him momentarily, then slowly said, Yes, I promise you. Hearing this, Yi Tianyun finally breathed a sigh of relief. If Territory Lord Lu Li disagrees, he doesn't know where to find the water core. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could ma. Chapter 161. Chapter 161. Yi Tianyun was relieved when he heard that the Territory Lord agreed to his request. When he was about to say something, Territory Lord Lu Li smiled. Although I said yes, you still need to promise me a condition. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled. Yi Tianyun's heart sank, and he suddenly had a bad feeling. This, Territory Lord Lu Li, didn't you say that you can agree to this request? Yi Tianyun frowned. That is true, but your request is already more than an ordinary request. Even if you get first place in the Divine Construct Palace, the difficulty is still a bit high. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled and said, I am the only one who wants to enter the water core to cultivate. Even Elder Gu Huang and the others need my approval to enter and cultivate. You cannot enter to cultivate just because you want to. To put it bluntly, the requirement is too much, and it is not the first place to win. Well, what conditions do you need to agree to? Yi Tianyun looked at her and asked, This condition is relatively simple. Don't join the third-grade god territory. Stay here all the time. Territory Lord Lu Li said solemnly, Of course, it doesn't mean you can't join in the future. At the very least, don't join the third-grade god territory at this stage. Even if someone comes to ask you in, don't choose to join. In return, I guarantee that the Heavenly Spring God territory will give you the best resources, allowing you to cultivate the God Monarch realm without any pressure. There is even a chance for you to break through to the Heavenly Monarch. At the very least, you don't have to worry about resources when you are below the Heavenly Monarch. Territory Lord Lu Li's expression is serious. This matter is grave. Yi Tianyun roughly knows what the situation is. It is nothing more than the War of God territory. Territory Lord Lu Li does not want him to join the War of God territory. If he joins now, he is no different than cannon fodder. The most important thing is to stay in Heavenly Spring God territory. He can retain a certain amount of strength and become a pillar in the future. Why? Yi Tianyun has a wrong guess in his heart. He still asked to see how Territory Lord Lu Li would explain. Elder Gu Huang told me before that a Star Territory Divine Beast has come to seize the genius. This is the work of a third-grade God territory. It attracts more geniuses to become their slaves and cannon fodder. This is a fierce battle. It's all for the sake of climbing to a higher position. Territory Lord Lu Li shook her head. With your abilities, there will be a third-grade God territory to recruit you. They will also do their best to nurture you. At that time, you will contribute to them. If your cultivation is stronger, you can still survive. You may be one of them if there isn't enough time. If we stay in Heavenly Spring God territory, even if we are affected, it won't be severe. At least our elders will choose to go into battle, not you. The explanation of Territory Lord Lu Li made Yi Tianyun feel a little comfortable. To put it bluntly, if the sky falls, it will be blocked by experts like them. As for the third-grade God territory must be fought unless they don't want to break through to the fourth-grade God territory, so at least people with some fighting strength will not be sent out to fight. Although Territory Lord Lu Li can save some strength for Heavenly Spring God territory, it is also suitable for them. I understand, but I am interested in this kind of War of God territory. Yi Tianyun smiled. But since Territory Lord Lu Li said so, I will agree not to join the third grade god territory. I just hope that Territory Lord Lu Li will bring me to participate in the war. Is this okay? Yi Tianyun wanted to kill the last time and increase his cultivation. After he broke through to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch, his needed experience would be huge. For this, he needed this battle. The War of God territory was undoubtedly the best choice. However, he didn't know when it would start. Therefore, there was no harm in agreeing to it. When the time came, he would sneak out and enter the War of God territory. Who would know? As long as you have enough strength, even if you don't want to participate, you will have to participate. Territory Lord Lu Li smiled. But I don't think it will be your turn to fight, you little children. So, you agreed. Make an oath, and I will let you go to the water core to cultivate. No problem. I swear I will never join any third grade god territory before the War of God territory. Yi Tianyun began to make an oath, and soon the sky branded the oath, representing the establishment of the oath. For him, the original purpose of joining the third grade god territory was to have good resources and gain experience in the War of God territory. Now that Territory Lord Lu Li said he can provide the corresponding resources, why not stay here? He liked the atmosphere of the Divine Construct Palace very much. He could stay here for the time being. Very well, I'll take you to the Water Core region. Although the core doesn't care about your burning heaven sacred fire, don't activate it at will. Territory Lord Lu Li warned. No problem. Immediately, Territory Lord Lu Li took him to the water core. He could easily reach the area where the water core was located through the transmission array. As soon as he was teleported, he immediately felt a more vital water star force approaching him. This feeling was similar to encountering a life core, but the attributes differed. Soon, under the leadership of Territory Lord Lu Li, they came to a massive door. With a gentle push, she slowly opened it. Just as she opened a small opening, she stepped in, indicating Yi Tianyun to come in. After Yi Tianyun entered, he saw the vast water core. Compared to the life core he saw in the Temple of Life, the core was many times larger, and the two could not be compared. After entering, he immediately felt like he had entered a water world, and countless water star forces filled him. This is the water core. You stay here to cultivate. I will go out to do something. When I am finished, I will also come in to cultivate, and we will stay here to cultivate. After Territory Lord Lu Li finished speaking, she left without saying anything. I hope I can succeed this time. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath. He came to the edge of the water core and sat down. He began to enter the cultivation state. He spent so much energy to break through to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch. If he can't succeed this way, he can only look at other ways. Then he calmed down and began to absorb the water star power from the outside world. At the same time, he turned it into his energy. Under his crazy absorption, a small crystal began to condense in his body. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1361, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could May chapter 1162, chapter 1162. There was no difficulty in condensing the water core. He only needed to absorb it continuously. It was equivalent to a transformation process. He could not directly move the massive water core in front of him, but he could absorb it and transform it into the energy he belonged to. This was the same as absorbing the life core before. If not for the fact that he could not have 2 cores simultaneously, he would have already successfully condensed it. To him, this was not a big problem. He only needed to spend more time to condense it easily. Soon, under his robust control, the water core quickly solidified and gradually expanded. At the same time, it began to condense into another planet. This speed was neither fast nor slow. Everything was repeating the previous work, gathering bit by bit. Soon, it formed a small planet and quickly expanded. Everything was slowly taking place within his control. Over time, more than a month passed in the blink of an eye. A giant water planet had already formed in his body. The colossal water planet looked like a huge crystal ball. It was gorgeous. However, the wood planet was much smaller than the life planet next to him. It was not the same level of existence at all. This meant he needed to condense more water cores, which also required much time. This was not a problem for him. Under his crazy absorption, the water core fluctuated slightly, and he quickly extracted the energy. In the blink of an eye, another month has passed. Territory Lord Lu Li still hasn't come back. I don't know what he is busy with, but he still hasn't returned. Yi Tianyun is too lazy to pay attention to it. Anyway, he just needs to absorb the water core for him. As more and more months passed, the water planet in Yi Tianyun's body condensed more and more. He doesn't know how much energy he absorbed from the water core. If he converted it into experience, it would be hundreds of millions. But now he must meet the conditions to break through, so he must first condense the water planet. Finally, the size of the water planet is almost the size of the wood planet next to it. The energy of the water planet began to wrap around the wood planet and began to nourish the wood planet. This is the level of rebirth, constantly moistening the water planet, making the trees on the surface multiply and become more lush than before. As if nourished by the rain, it makes them more vigorous and lively. This feeling makes Yi Tianyun feel comfortable. It is evident that this path is correct and not wrong. When he condensed another life core, it soon showed signs of collapse. There is no such situation here, but it looks pretty safe and has no problem. That's it. It looks like there's no problem. Yi Tianyun was wholly immersed in the fusion, allowing the two planets to be connected entirely, forming a circle. He has never had this kind of experience, but he has a hunch that the two must be fused to create a perfect form. Time quickly passed, and Territory Lord Lu Li still hadn't returned. If she returns, she will see Yi Tianyun emitting two kinds of energy. One is the life force, the other is the water force, and the two energies mix. It looks very harmonious, and there is no sense of conflict. After ultimately stabilizing himself, Yi Tianyun slowly opened his eyes shining and looking very beautiful. I finally succeeded. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath, feeling the two giant planets in his body around the world inside his body. The two are indistinguishable. The key is that there is a complementary realm. The water planet constantly nourishes energy, making the wood planet more vigorous. This is the most ideal state at the moment. He feels that it can be more perfect. No matter what, now that he has reached the standard and has two planets, no one will believe that someone can have the strength of two planets. In particular, the two form a symbiotic state to generate energy for each other, making Yi Tianyun more lasting. The power can increase so that he can consume the enemy without using pills when he fights with the enemy. The upgrade standard has been completed. Now I am waiting to break through to the Heavenly Monarch. Yi Tianyun remembered the scene he dreamed of in the heaven-stealing god territory. It was very likely that when he broke through to the Heaven Monarch, he would have to endure this kind of terrible heavenly tribulation. In his current situation, he felt that he was not fully prepared. He still needed other forces to support him. Of course, he still needed to break through to the 10th Refinement Earth Monarch, and then he could break through to the Heaven Monarch. He hoped that he would not encounter that abnormal heavenly tribulation when he broke through to the 10th Refinement Earth Monarch. Forget it, let's continue to absorb it and strengthen ourselves. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He sat down and continued to absorb the energy of the water core. This energy continued transforming into his experience, no longer condensing that water planet. He now needed to accumulate knowledge and could use it to nurture his little brothers and raise pets. For example, he now had a star overlord. How could he dare to release it now? However, his cultivation was also relatively low. If he could strengthen it, the power would be astonishing. He could not go out now, so he had to absorb the experience first. Under his continuous absorption, the energy of the water core was quickly extracted. However, it felt like it was endless, and there was no sign of it being drained at all. If he could get this one, it would be equivalent to obtaining a colossal experience treasure trove. It's just that it takes too long to absorb. Safety is safety, but it takes a lot of time. If you go back and forth in the enemy army, you will gain much experience. The key is that there are also essential values like Crazy Point, which can improve your ability. He doesn't know how long he has absorbed. Finally, the door slowly opened. Territory Lord Lu Li came in from the outside. He looked tired. He came to his side and looked at him. It seems your cultivation is not bad. I will take a rest first. She did not wait for Yi Tianyun to answer. She directly sat down and recovered. The next moment, she turned into a black hole. It was 10 times stronger than Yi Tianyun's suction force. It was even 100 times stronger. She crazily absorbed the energy of the water core. This super strong suction force shocked Yi Tianyun. It seems that this is the power of half-step heavenly venerable. It is like drinking water from a sea cow. In the blink of an eye, it sucked up a large amount of energy. No wonder Territory Lord Lu Li does not let others in. She has already consumed a lot of energy just by absorbing it. How can she let people in to absorb it? It seems that something happened. Wait for her to recover. Yi Tianyun did not disturb her and waited for her to wake up. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1365, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could CK chapter 1163. Chapter 1163, Yi Tianyun stayed next to her and waited for her to wake up. It seemed that she had just experienced a great battle. Otherwise, she would not have absorbed enough water core energy to restore herself. After about half a month, the situation of Territory Lord Lu Li finally eased, and it seemed to be much better than before. She slowly opened her eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. When she woke, Yi Tianyun asked, "What happened to Territory Lord Lu Li?" The fact that Territory Lord Lu Li had returned so late and expended so much energy meant it wasn't just a simple meeting. That's a strange place. For now, you don't have the qualifications to go there. You'll barely be qualified to go there when you break through to the Heaven Monarch. Territory Lord Lu Li didn't say anything more. She looked at him and said, "You're now a 9 Refinement Earth Monarch. If you take another step, you'll become a Heaven Monarch. You'll be much stronger than an ordinary Heaven Monarch. Only this way will you have the qualifications. You wouldn't have the qualifications if you were an ordinary Heaven Monarch. Come find me when you break through to Heaven Monarch. Of course, even if you break through to the Heaven Monarch, I can't bring you there immediately. You'll have to wait for some time to do so." Yi Tianyun understands. She has consumed a lot of energy. Although he doesn't know where she is going, it isn't simple. When the time comes, Territory Lord Lu Li will take him there. It must be a fantastic experience. Then, Territory Lord Lu Li, the disciple, will return first. I will come back after I break through to the Heaven Monarch, Yi Tianyun said. Territory Lord Lu Li nodded and said, "It's more difficult to break through to the Heaven Monarch. It's better to choose a quiet one and a safe one. Let Elder Dongyun guard you. It will be easier this way." Yi Tianyun nodded and didn't say that he was trying to break through to the 10 Refinements Earth Monarch. After saying goodbye, he turned and left. Territory Lord Lu Li didn't stop him. She won't protect Yi Tianyun. At least Yi Tianyun is not qualified. After Yi Tianyun left, he immediately used the teleportation godstone and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the next moment, he left the inside of the three realms. The place he wanted to undergo his tribulation wasn't any other place. It was just outside the region of the three realms. He wanted to choose this place to undergo his tribulation. The impact would be significant if he were to undergo tribulation here in the God territory. He didn't want others to know he was breaking through to the 10 Refinements Earth Monarch. If others saw him, it would shock the entire divine realm. It was best for him to choose to keep a low profile and not let others know that he could break through to the 10 Refinements Earth Monarch. Just think about it. The 10 Refinements Earth Monarch had never appeared before. If he found out that he had broken through to the 10 Refinements Earth Monarch, he would be captured and interrogated on how to break through. The method seemed simple, but it required a lot of cooperation. The key was not what everyone could do. People had selfish motives. He did not want to share this secret with anyone. When the third-grade God territory experts find out, the result is self-evident. They will be arrested and interrogated. Finally, I'm back. When Yi Tianyun felt this familiar aura, he thought this place was warm. There was nothing more comfortable than this place. After returning, he immediately checked the situation of the three realms. After a sweep, he found that the situation here was booming. More than a dozen people had broken through to the Divine King. There were many Saint Kings, and everything was fine. The one in charge of the entire three realms is still the Heavenly Cloud's divine nation. No one dares to disobey the orders of the Heavenly Cloud's divine nation. Therefore, everything is very peaceful. People go to the outer planets to explore and search for resources. Compared to being trapped in the three realms before, it is much better. At least these kinds of resources will be easy to use and will not be idle. It seems that they are managed in good order. Shuiyun manages them real good. Yi Tianyun is very satisfied with this. It is not wrong to let them manage it. As he carefully observed his surroundings, he soon saw a familiar figure. In the blink of an eye, she had grown up and became a graceful young girl. She was none other than his daughter, Yi Tianyun, who had grown up and became a graceful young girl. He had not left this place for long, but the time between the mortal territory and God territory was unequal. He had stayed in the God territory for 2 years. It seemed that more than 10 years had passed here. Naturally, he had become a graceful young girl. Now she was followed by a large group of pursuers. Wherever she went, she followed. Yi Tianyun was his daughter, the daughter of the god of the three realms, who did not want to pursue her. Once she became a woman, he would have a meteoric rise, so no matter what she liked or disliked, he would crazily chase after her, wanting to achieve a meteoric rise. Miss Tianyun, I know that there is a good place outside. Do you want to go there and gain experience? What's so fun about gaining experience? I know a wonderful place. I can take you there. Miss Tianyun, I have a jade here. It was found outside. It is wonderful. You will like it. These pursuers tried their best to please Yi Tianyun, but no matter what they did, Yi Tianyun just ignored them with a cold face. I already said that these tricks are useless to me. I'm sick of them. If you want to pursue me, you must first be stronger than my father. Yi Tianyun snorted coldly and rejected them. All of them revealed expressions of despair. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Surpassing the gods of the three realms? Wasn't this just a joke? How could such a powerful existence surpass them? Not to mention, surpassing Yi Tianyun, Yi Tianyun alone can crush them. Now Yi Tianyun is not even 18, but has already broken through to the Divine King, an existence that can crush everything. Even though many elders are ashamed, this cultivation level cannot compare. These pursuers are just marrying into the family. Their cultivation is mainly around the Saint King, and their age is much older than Yi Tianyun. Therefore, not to mention surpassing Yi Tianyun is very good to surpass Yi Tianyun. Miss Tianyun, this is too difficult. Some of them felt very helpless. You don't even have this bit of confidence. How can you pursue me? Yi Tianyun snorted, too lazy to pay attention to them. Little Sizue, your request is high. Yi Tianyun suddenly appeared beside her and smiled at Yi Tianyun. When Yi Tianyun heard this voice, she turned her head and looked at it in disbelief. After seeing Yi Tianyun's face clearly, she did not hesitate to pounce on him. When everyone saw this scene, they were shocked. Yi Tianyun threw herself at another man. It was incredible. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1365, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could TA chapter 1164. Chapter 1164. Yi Tianyun threw herself into Yi Tianyun's arms, making the surrounding pursuers jealous. Some of them even glared at him with red eyes. He looks young. How can he make Yi Tianyun throw herself into his arms? Who are you? Immediately, a pursuer stood up and glared at Yi Tianyun. Yes, who are you? Which faction are you from? It seems that the aura is so weak. How dare you get close to Miss Tianyun? They all surrounded her with red eyes. If no one wanted to succeed, it would be fine. They didn't expect someone to suddenly come out and directly win the heart of Yi Tianyun. This made them both shocked and angry. They have pursued for many years, but a nameless kid easily won them. How could they not be angry? Because Yi Tianyun and Shi Shuiyun look alike, if they don't look closely, they really can't see that they have a daughter relationship. In addition, Yi Tianyun's aura has always been restrained, and he usually doesn't burst out of his aura. Therefore, in God's territory, people with the same cultivation think he is weak. Only those whose cultivation is much stronger than Yi Tianyun know how high his actual cultivation is. Pusi, Yi Tianyun covered her mouth and smiled. She hugged Yi Tianyun's shoulder and said to them, "This is my man, none of you can compare. If you want to pursue me, you must surpass him first." Yi Tianyun shrugged helplessly. He is indeed the first man of his daughter, but he is only a father. Similar to scaring his husband, this kind of joke is reflected in himself. Surpass him? Everyone stared at Yi Tianyun with red eyes, and one by one they stood up and shouted, "I want to fight with you. That's right, I also want to fight with you. Let's see who is stronger. Our power is ranked in the top 5 in the 3 realms." "I don't know what power you are from. Hurry up and tell me your name." None of them could guess Yi Tianyun's identity. They just shouted on the side. Yi Tianyun, next to him, was very happy and thought it was funny. These people are all idiots. They can't even see the identity of their father. My power? Yi Tianyun smiled. The 3 realms are under my control. What do you think I am? Bullshit. The 3 realms is under the control of the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. You are insulting the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. This is the most intolerable. Yes. You can take Miss Sixu away, but never insult the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. I will fight you to the death. How dare you insult my idol, you bastard? I will kill you. They were all completely angry, ready to cut Yi Tianyun into pieces. They didn't expect his prestige to be so high that no one could tolerate others insulting him. In fact, in the 3 realms, his prestige is the highest. He has always believed in God. The God who controls everything. The younger generation naturally worships him. It can be said to reach the level of fanaticism. Wait, he seems to be very similar to the statue in the capital. One of the pursuers suddenly thought of something, and his body suddenly stiffened. In disbelief, he looked at Yi Tianyun and shouted with trembling fingers, Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor? After that, his legs went soft and he fell to the ground. The other pursuers, who were full of anger, also remembered something. Their bodies stiffened, and they felt their legs go soft. They also knelt on the ground. Heavenly Clouds, Great Emperor? If they look closer, they will remember it is precisely the same as the statue. If they calm down and think about it again, Yi Tianyun has such a high vision. How can she casually be with other men? This kind of request is tough to achieve. It is not that there are no children with their father as their goal. Therefore, thinking about it carefully, Yi Tianyun is afraid that only his father is willing to throw himself into Yi Tianyun's arms. Specifically, it should be a spoiled child not seen for many years. It is amusing. You finally recognize it, a group of fools. Before you said that you worship my father, who just scolded. Yi Tianyun covered her mouth and chuckled, feeling very funny. They were embarrassed. Some kept kowtowing and begging Yi Tianyun to forgive them. The ignorant are innocent. You didn't mean it. Yi Tianyun waved his hand and said with a faint smile, "Do what you need to do. Do it." After saying that, he took his daughter and flew away, leaving a group of pursuers looking at each other. Following these pursuers, he quickly returned and told their father that Yi Tianyun was back. "Dad, you are finally back. I miss you so much." Yi Tianyun was full of resentment and disappeared for more than 10 years in the blink of an eye. How could she be happy? This is a situation where time is not equal. I have been in that world for a year, and several years have passed here. Yi Tianyun said helplessly. "What kind of world is that? Can I go with you?" Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. "I can't go there for now." Yi Tianyun shook his head. Yi Tianyun suddenly pouted and felt very bored. He immediately smiled and comforted. "I just said it is temporary. It is not safe there now. Don't think you are invincible because you have cultivated to this level. It is only the lowest level there. It is not that I don't want to take you there, but when it stabilizes, I will take you with me. God's territory must be going there. The environment there is much better than here, and naturally, it will control the 3 realms to fly over." Really, Yi Tianyun was excited. "How could I lie to you?" Yi Tianyun took out the star bracelet and handed it to Yi Tianyun. "This is a gift for you. The treasure I refined recently will be your compensation." Yi Tianyun took it and put her arm around Yi Tianyun's shoulder. She said excitedly, "Thank you, father. Then go to see mother now. Mother misses you very much. Yes." Yi Tianyun nodded and followed her. When he saw Shi Shuiyun's back again, she subconsciously turned her head. When she saw him, she smiled and said, "You're back." "Yes, I'm back." Nothing is more pleasant than this sentence. It makes him feel very touched. Only in this sentence does he have the feeling of going home. After a moment of warmth, he left her alone and flew to the outside area. Not long after he left, many experts flew over from outside. They rushed over to greet him when they learned that Yi Tianyun had returned. "Empress, where is Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor?" one of the Great Emperors asked hurriedly. "Him? He left again." Shi Shuiyun smiled and left. The Great Emperors looked at each other and stared at each other. It seemed that they were a step too late. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1365, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could. Chapter 1165. Chapter 1165. After a simple warm-up, Yi Tianyun left the three realms and went to find a safe place to cross the tribulation. He is almost ready and wants to break through to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch first. After following him, he found an area with no life, surrounded by stones, nothing but rocks. I will cross the tribulation here. After Yi Tianyun chose this place, he immediately ordered, level up to 10 refinements Earth Monarch. Ding, check if the requirements are met. Ding, meet the requirements, start to level up. 1, firsty 2, firsty 2. The data moved up bit by bit. It was completely different from before. It did not level up at once, but accumulated bit by bit. It seemed that it had to be moved to at least 100 before it could level up. At the same time, the top of his head began to be covered with layers of thick tribulation clouds. When he saw this thick tribulation cloud, he breathed a sigh of relief. At least it was not as terrifying as in the dream realm. That was an attack comparable to a god monarch. The current power was much more robust, but utterly different from the terrifying heavenly tribulation. It seems that it is very likely that when breaking through to the heaven monarch, the heavenly tribulation that needs to be endured should be the heavenly tribulation in the dream realm. Although Yi Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief, it does not mean he will be completely relaxed in the face of the heavenly tribulation. This tribulation cloud is 10 times more powerful than before. It is no longer just a simple thundercloud and heavenly fire rolling on it. It also adds a vital life force. In the tribulation cloud, there is such a vital life force. It is strange. Do you want to give me a hard blow and then use your life force to treat me? The answer would not be like this. The heavens would not be so kind as to wish for the tribulation to be defeated in one move. How could they possibly help them heal? Unless they completely broke through this heavenly tribulation, they could not give any benefits. This benefit was established after he blew up the heavenly tribulation. After the heavenly tribulation exploded, he absorbed scattered energy. Only then would it be treated as a benefit. If he did not blow it up with one punch, he would receive very few benefits. It was just a punch. The difficulty would increase exponentially. It was not that easy to deal with. Therefore, many cultivators would not do this. Unless they had absolute confidence in themselves, they would not do this. The power is strengthened. Let me see to what extent it can be strong. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He raised his fist and punched the tribulation cloud. It was no different from before. He just wanted to punch this tribulation cloud. Just as he approached, the tribulation cloud immediately rolled crazily, thoroughly angered by Yi Tianyun, and immediately rolled up a terrible life force and shrouded him. In the blink of an eye, Yi Tianyun felt his body shrink by half. It seemed that his life force had been sucked out. This was not pouring life force into him, it was utterly draining his life force. The terrible suction force quickly put him in a predicament. Yi Tianyun's heart sank. Sure enough, the heavenly tribulation of the T10 refinements Earth Monarch was difficult to deal with. He quickly changed into the longevity set and restored the vitality in his body. However, there were only 2 longevity set equipment. Otherwise, the recovery rate would be even more impressive. Explode for me, Yi Tianyun roared. He immediately displayed the crazy damage mode to increase his damage by 64 times, reaching an extremely terrifying value. Immediately, he kicked hard, and with a boom sound, the void was shattered by his kick. This thick tribulation cloud was quickly kicked up, leaving a massive hole in it. According to the previous situation, the hole kicked out would be scattered. The next moment, this huge hole was filled with an astonishing amount of life force. It was quickly repaired. It was restored to its original state in the blink of an eye. It was a bit different from before. To be exact, there was still a large area of other things. That was, the power had become even more terrifying. Roar! The heavenly tribulation roared. A giant palm condensed from heavenly fire, thunder, and life force grabbed him. When it waved, just as it approached him, it quickly extracted his life force. The power was much stronger than before. The power of extracting life force was much more significant. The key was that it could not be broken. On the contrary, it could be repaired. The power was much stronger. Explode for me again! Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. The Sky Dawn Divine Spear appeared in his hand, and he stabbed it. It seemed like a gentle swing of the spear, but it was more than 1,000 times. The void trembled violently under this piercing, and even cracks appeared. In just one move, he immediately pierced the heavenly tribulation. There were hundreds of holes in it. There was nothing intact. All of them were scattered into a large area. However, he did not stop. Instead, he continued to stab it crazily. Every shot was so fast. Shoo, he is going to penetrate this void. Time and time again, the void is pierced through countless big holes. He just wants to completely shatter the tribulation cloud so that the tribulation cloud cannot be reborn. Finally, under his madness, the tribulation cloud is completely scattered and can't be connected anymore. I want to see how you will recover this time. Yi Tianyun's forehead is sweaty, as if he has just experienced a fierce battle. This heavenly tribulation didn't look like it had recovered, but suddenly, an invisible force viciously tightened around him, quickly extracting all his energy. Whether it was the water or wood power in his body, they were all frantically being extracted. This was like stripping away his power, allowing him to return to the level of a mortal. But if they were all extracted, he wouldn't become immortal but directly become a pile of ashes. Even his life energy was sucked dry. How could he live? This power, Yi Tianyun's heart sank. Such an invisible power is no longer at the explosion level, but is similar to a strange energy, wanting to strip away the energy in his body. It is no longer a matter of violence to resist this energy, but to completely suppress this power. Sure enough, it is not so easy to break through the 10 refinements Earth Monarch. It is much more strange than before. Yi Tianyun is looking down on this heavenly tribulation. No wonder he has never seen a 10 refinements Earth Monarch. He guessed that someone must have thought about how to break through to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch. However, in the end, he died in this heavenly tribulation. It is much more abnormal than before. Thinking about it, the heavenly tribulation to break through to the Heaven Monarch must be even more terrifying now that it is so horrifying. Seeing that his body was getting sucked dry, he forcibly suppressed it, but there was no meaning at all. He slowed down a little at most, not completely suppressing this energy. If this continues, he will die. Even if there is violent power, it is useless. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1365, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could buy chapter 166. Chapter 166, the heavenly tribulation of the 10 refinements. Earth Monarch is too strange. It is no longer like before. It can explode and disappear with a punch. But this peculiar special energy is impossible to get rid of. I want to see if the power of the Heavenly Venerable can be suppressed. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. He quickly circulated the power of the Heavenly Venerable to suppress this power. After circulating it, the power of the Heavenly Venerable began to suppress it, quickly reducing the extraction speed. However, a small amount of energy still continuously extracts from the power in his body. It seems that even the power of the Heavenly Venerable cannot be completely suppressed. This power of Heavenly Venerable is just a small amount of energy given by Heavenly Venerable Hao Han, allowing him to use it. It was similar to a talisman. There was no limit to the number of times it could be used. The problem was that the consumption was astonishing, and there was no growth rate. This meant that no matter how his cultivation level broke through, this energy would not become stronger. This was a fixed amount of energy. It couldn't grow, so it was very limited. However, for those below the God Monarch level, the effect of suppressing it was still very good. Now, it was very effective. At least, it was much better than before. It seems that this heavenly tribulation also tests the cohesiveness of one's energy. Yi Tianyun shook his head and felt a headache. He underestimated this heavenly tribulation and thought it would explode with one punch. Even with the longevity set, it is still difficult to suppress this power. It needs stronger energy to suppress it completely. I don't believe that I can't completely suppress it. Yi Tianyun quickly operated the 2 planets in his body and began to rotate crazily. The 2 energies constantly converged and became stronger and stronger, and then quickly rushed outside. Suppress for me. Boom. The 2 energies fiercely collided with the energy wrapped around them, counteracting each other. He could only use the energy above his opponent if he wanted to let the heavenly tribulation extract his power. He didn't have this kind of power right now. Only the power of the Heavenly Venerable had some effect. The only thing he could do now was to expel the heavenly tribulation energy that had invaded his body and not let it harm his body. Under this impact, his body no longer shrinks. Under the 2 vast energies, he quickly recovers his original luster and elasticity. If the heavenly tribulation can't be suppressed, his body is fine. It seems that I can only hold on like this. Yi Tianyun closed his eyes and concentrated on suppressing this heavenly tribulation energy. He can only do this for now. The rest is powerless. This is the difference in energy level. The power of a Heavenly Venerable and the power of Heavenly Tao easily suppressed his current normal star force. Star power was currently the most basic energy, and it was also the lowest level of energy. Above it was the power of Heavenly Tao, the power of a Heavenly Venerable. Only now did he realize that the world was vast, and he still had a long way to go. Just having crazy mode was still insufficient, and he needed further energy evolution. 40%, 41%, 42%. While resisting the energy invasion, the upgrade did not stop. Instead, it was rising gradually, but the speed was slow. It seemed that he only needed to persevere to 100%, and he should be able to upgrade successfully. Up until now, he has still been able to persevere. However, he had used up too much energy. Not only did he need to maintain the power of a Heavenly Venerable, but he was also required to circulate the 2 planets in his body. The consumption was equally shocking. However, he could only do this now. There was no other way. In this situation, the number of upgrades would increase bit by bit. In the end, it would reach 99%. It was about to get 100%. Ding, 100% of the data has been achieved. Successfully upgraded to 10 refinements Earth Monarch. When this pleasant voice rang out, a terrifying power burst out from his body and swept all around, directly crushing the strange energy pressing down on him. Following the extreme divine light, this large space, as if the sky was cut through, a huge divine light shrouded down, and the surroundings became bright, illuminating this large area of space. If cultivators are on the side, they will think there is a miracle. Otherwise, how can such a shocking situation occur? Yi Tianyun was completely silent. He felt a force constantly rushing in his body, and the two planets resonated simultaneously. At this time, he crazily absorbed the energy that enveloped the divine light, moistening his body and having his planet power. Everything started to change. Behind him, a phantom appeared. That was the 10th ring. Every refinement had a ring at the Earth Monarch level, but it would usually not be displayed. Every time he broke through a level, there would be one more ring, so this level was called refining. The 9 refinements Earth Monarch represented 9 chains that could firmly lock energy. When the Earth Monarch completely erupted, the phantom behind him could see how many chains there were, which showed how strong the other party was. Right now, there are 10 chains behind Yi Tianyun. They are like 10 planets connected. Each chain has a faint light, and they look very conspicuous. These 10 chains contain the true power of Heavenly Tao. He has not even stepped into the level of Heaven Monarch, but he already has the terrifying power of Heavenly Tao and is much stronger than Heaven Monarch. It can be said that they are not on the same level. If the power of the Heaven Monarch controlling Heavenly Tao is equal to the power of the strong, then the power he has now is the king of the strong, the power of a king. 10 refinements. Earth Monarch, the first eternal Earth Monarch in history, is at an unprecedented level, crushing all Earth Monarchs. Ding completed the main mission breakthrough to the 10 refinements Earth Monarch, or breakthrough to the level of Heaven Monarch. After breaking through to the 10th level of Earth Monarch, 1 billion crazy points, 1 billion sin points, and 1 billion mastery points. At the same time, you will receive the title, the First Eternal Earth Monarch. Many rewards came, especially the title, the First Earth Monarch, which looked even more amazing. The first Earth Monarch, anyone below the Earth Monarch, is an ant. When facing Earth Monarch, damage can increase by 3 to 10 times. When facing Heaven Monarch, it can increase damage by 15 times. At the same time, it has the strongest Heavenly Tao power. When facing an opponent below its level of Heavenly Tao power, it has the effect of suppressing. At most, it can suppress 1,000 of the impact. Not only is the reward amazing, but the effect of the title also makes Yi Tianyun take a deep breath. It is the first Eternal Earth Monarch. When facing Earth Monarch, it can be considered a dominant crushing. Even against Heaven Monarch, there has been a terrifying 15 times increase. Isn't this title a bit heaven-defying? Become a patron, read up to chapter 1366, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could twana chapter 167. Chapter 167. Ding successfully accepted the main mission, Repression of Evil Spirit Race, completely extinguished the Evil Spirit Race realm, completed the reward of 5 billion crazy value, 5 billion sin points, and 5 billion mastery. Also won the title Evil Spirit Race Killer. While Yi Tianyun was shocked by this title, a new main mission appeared, to suppress the Evil Spirit Race and destroy the Evil Spirit Realm, which was the residence of the Evil Spirit Race. It had never happened before. Now that this mission appeared, it meant that he could kill it. This did not mean that he could immediately suppress the Evil Spirit Race. After all, having a mission was different from being able to complete it immediately. Finally, this mission appeared. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He has not issued this task. He knows he is not hurrying to find the evil spirit. Now, it seems that the time is a bit more ripe. He has a strong level. Even if he is facing the late stage of the Heaven Monarch, he can still suppress it. After all, this title has a 15 times bonus effect when facing the Heaven Monarch. If he uses Crazy Mode, there is a 64 times multiplication. Together, the damage is 79 times, enough to destroy the world. Even more shocking is that there are 5 high-grade Heavenly Tao level martial art. If he cultivates them, he can add dozens of times more damage. The high-grade Rebirth level martial arts Crazy Heaven Secret Art can make him explode 15 times the power, not to mention the high-grade Heavenly Tao level martial art. It seems that I have to cultivate these 5 martial arts well. I can't waste them. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. He planned to cultivate here. The concentration of energy here is not high, but the time is much longer. After 10 years here, only 1 year has passed in the God territory, which means that he does not have to worry about the change of the world if he stays here for too long. On the contrary, this is the advantage. There is a feeling of time acceleration. It is not a good thing to cross the heavenly tribulation for those who do not need to cross the heavenly tribulation, even if they are rushing to cultivate. But most do not come to cultivate. There are no resources here, so why come here? For Yi Tianyun, he still has a lot of resources and doesn't need any big resources to cultivate martial arts. Even if he doesn't want to break through to the Heaven Monarch, after 1,000 years, the heavenly tribulation will come, and if his cultivation is not enough, he will be killed by the terrifying heavenly tribulation. 1,000 years is not long. Yi Tianyun shook his head, turned around, and returned, ready to enter seclusion to cultivate the 5 heavenly Tao martial arts. After returning, he has to deal with all kinds of greetings. Yi Tianyun was the god of the 3 realms who led them, so naturally, they needed to come over to pay his respects. As long as he wasn't a dead man, they had to come over honestly. On the one hand, they didn't want to die. Yi Tianyun's return must be worshipped. If they didn't worship and instead moved their anger over, it would be the end of the line. On the other hand, they were looking at Yi Tianyun's situation to see what kind of change there was in the overall situation, if it was stronger or something. After sending them off, Yi Tianyun finally breathed a sigh of relief. It is not my specialty to deal with these things. These years, it has been hard on you. Yi Tianyun shook his head, and they all came to flatter him. Although they are sincere, it is tiring. These are all necessary things. They are all loyal officials. Accompanying the emperor is like accompanying the tiger. It is not good to come to see you, restless. ch1151 smiled from the side. I know this, Yi Tianyun nodded. How could he not understand these things? Tianyun, what are your plans for coming back this time? ch1151 asked. I came back this time because I want to cultivate here to break through to the Heaven Monarch. Yi Tianyun looked at her and smiled. Very soon, I will be able to lead the 3 realms to the God territory. Your cultivation environment will improve at that time, and it will be easier for you to break through. Tianyun, ch1151 gently leaned over and lay on his shoulder. Don't make things difficult for yourself. You can protect the safety of the 3 realms. This is enough. You have been working hard outside all these years, but we cannot help it all. She felt very sad and watched Yi Tianyun fight outside. She crazily cultivated. In the entire 3 realms, it can be said that not many people can compare with her. However, no matter how much she cultivates, her cultivation cannot catch up with Yi Tianyun. Currently, she is very strong. She has reached the Divine King stage 7th layer. This kind of talent is very good even in the God territory. After all, the cultivation environment in the 3 realms is not as good as the God territory. How can you not help? You should run this place now. It will be useful soon. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. Cultivate the 3 realms, and then we will directly control the world. He spent so many resources cultivating the 3 realms that it is impossible for him to want the old but to cultivate this place and become the most loyal soldier. When the time comes to the battlefield, any strong person can guard a place. This is just like the previous leadership of the forces. It is difficult to succeed by relying on him alone. Even if he had no subordinates to control him after the violent suppression, everything would still be returned. Therefore, he needed talents from this side. Now, he was constantly cultivating them. In the future, he could use the land of martial arts. To protect his hometown, he could not always defend himself just by becoming stronger. What he needed was for the entire 3 realms to become completely stronger. Well, we will. ch1151's eyes flashed with excitement. She also wanted to ride the battlefield. Following Yi Tianyun, he took out a pile of martial arts and resources and gave them to ch1151. He began to cultivate. His cultivation is very simple. He just removed the 5 high-grade Heavenly Tao martial art and constantly analyzed them with the investigating eye. This way, he can learn them easily. If not for the investigating eye, even if he is very talented, he would not be able to understand these martial arts so easily. Time passed slowly. He gradually understood these 5 martial arts. The content of each book was amazing. Compared to the martial arts he has now, it is much stronger. All the martial arts he has cultivated before can be abandoned. Almost, I have finished cultivating it. This world is vast, and the high-grade Heavenly Tao level martial art is profound. I don't know what the effect of the higher level is, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Yi Tianyun stood up and went out to rest. He saw ch1151 discussing something with her subordinates outside. What are you talking about? You look so serious. Yi Tianyun smiled and walked over to ask. Tianyun, you are out. ch1151 smiled. We are discussing Sister Ju's being crowned Holy Maiden. In the 3 realms, her prestige is extremely high. Everyone says that she is the Holy Maiden of the 3 realms. Holy Maiden of the 3 realms. Yi Tianyun was startled. Thinking of the Holy Maiden training quest from a long time ago, he did not expect that it was already completed in the blink of an eye. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1367, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could pry. Chapter 168. Chapter 168. Yes, the Holy Maiden of the 3 realms. Sister Ju has always been rushing back and forth for the entire 3 realms, saving many people and cultivating many strong people. This may be related to her background. Her background is very poor, and she has never forgotten her roots. Instead, she has been saving those poor people. No matter who she is to, she has a holy heart. In the entire 3 realms, she is the kindest, so we intend to make her the Holy Maiden. What do you think? ch1151 smiled and asked. Yi Tianyun nodded. In the beginning, Julingyun was born into an ordinary family. Now, her cultivation is not low. She has reached the Divine King. In addition, she is very friendly and often helps others. It is not surprising that she is promoted to the Holy Maiden. I agree with this. Since it is everyone's request, we will follow their request. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, I am not surprised that Sister Ju can get this recognition. Julingyun has always been very good to her fellow disciples and strangers. She will know that good is good if she has a good heart. This is all because of Yi Tianyun. If not for Yi Tianyun, she probably would have starved on the streets. Okay, we will hold this coronation ceremony after a while. After Yi Tianyun agreed, he quickly made the decision. If he is not here, this matter will also be completed. After all, Zhu Lingyun is indeed qualified. A few days later, soon in the imperial capital, the coronation ceremony was held. All the experts in the three realms came to congratulate each other, whether they knew each other or not. Many civilians came over. Zhu Lingyun's reputation was very widespread. Many people received her favor and naturally came to greet her. There is no discrimination in the capital. Everyone is welcome to watch the coronation ceremony. Such a grand coronation ceremony is unprecedented. Even when Yi Tianyun held the coronation ceremony, there were not so many people. It is enough to see how high her prestige is. She is comparable to an emperor. This made Yi Tianyun very pleased. It was all accumulated by Zhu Lingyun. If she had not done so many good deeds and accumulated so much reputation, many people would not be coming to see her. Especially the civilians they surrounded the outside. They may not see it, but it does not stop them from coming to celebrate. The entire imperial capital is bustling with noise and excitement, much more lively than usual. Soon, Zhu Lingyun slowly began to come out of the coronation platform. Standing at the top was Yi Tianyun, waiting for Zhu Lingyun to come over and smile. Zhu Lingyun's eyes flashed with water ripples, staring at Yi Tianyun, her eyes full of gratitude. She did not expect that the one who would hold her coronation ceremony would be Yi Tianyun. This made her feel that everything was perfect, at least in terms of glory, and had reached the highest level. Heavenly Emperor, Zhu Lingyun came to Yi Tianyun and slowly knelt to greet him with the most respectful etiquette. Get up. Yi Tianyun gently raised his hand and let Zhu Lingyun stand up. Looking at her ordinary face, he smiled and said with relief, "Unknowingly, you have already walked your path and reached a new realm. I am very pleased with this. You becoming a holy maiden is what everyone hopes for." Zhu Lingyun looked very ordinary. Even though she had broken through to the Divine King, she still maintained her original ordinary appearance. However, this ordinary appearance became her symbol. Her appearance was very ordinary, but she always exuded a strong affinity. Compared to her beautiful appearance, it was even more intimate. No, I was bestowed by the Heavenly Emperor. Without the Heavenly Emperor, I would not have been able to come here. Zhu Lingyun's eyes are full of gratitude. She has always been very grateful to Yi Tianyun. Even now, she feels that she will never be able to repay him. Don't be so modest. I am just your guide. You can get to this point because of your hard work. Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "Now let me ask you, after you become the Holy Maiden, will you still maintain your original attitude and help this world?" "Yes, I will not forget my roots. I will always follow this goal and make the three realms peaceful. I will make the pain in the three realms less and more happy." Zhu Lingyun firmly said she would stick to this point whether she is the Holy Maiden. "Very good, then I will grant you the title of Holy Maiden now. Become the Holy Maiden of the three realms, and control the good and evil of the three realms." Yi Tianyun came to Zhu Lingyun, took a crystal crown, and gently put it on her head. At this moment, the audience cheered, and the cheers resounded throughout the three realms. Zhu Lingyun, who was so famous, became a Holy Maiden. Ding completed the task of Cultivation the Holy Maiden, obtained 3,000 prestige points, and achieved Stability of the Three Realms. Stabilizing the three realms, with the existence of the Holy Maiden, the loyalty of the three realms has reached 100, and no one will betray. Yi Tianyun was stunned. There was such a heaven-defying thing. Now that he had returned, many people admired him, but there were still many people he did not convince. After all, they had only heard of the deeds and did not know the real situation. Zhu Lingyun is different. She has been wandering through the three realms, and her prestige is even higher than that of Yi Tianyun, so there will be no betrayal with her to stabilize the three realms. I didn't expect to meet this kind of special achievement when I came back. Only absolute loyalty could make the forces more stable in the future. I have to say, Zhu Lingyun is a heaven-defying holy maiden, and the three realms are stable. I don't know if she can stabilize the divine realm when she enters the divine realm in the future. No matter which force, the disciple must have a different heart. And now, with Zhu Lingyun in charge, everything is not a problem. Brother Yi, I will help you. Zhu Lingyun held the wand in her hand and looked at him with a faint smile. No, it should be said that we will all support you and work hard behind you. You don't need to worry about anything. Sister and the others are more hardworking than me. Yi Tianyun was extremely moved. Looking around, Yi Yue and the others were all there, and Ye Qingxuan was beside him, all following him to help him. Without them, the three realms would have been in chaos, and violence alone could not solve everything. It would only worsen. I know. Thank you for your hard work. Yi Tianyun smiled and waved his hand. A divine light enveloped their bodies, and they looked extremely eye-catching. The three realms is glorious because of you. The three realms is not his, but theirs. All of them were stunned, and then they cried. Everything was worth it. As long as Yi Tianyun had this heart, everything was worth it. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1368, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could 60 tire 1169. Chapter 1169. Because Juling became the Holy Maiden, the entire Three Realms was celebrating, all kinds of celebrations and all kinds of absolutions. Everything cheered because of this, and after a full week of excitement, they returned to their own areas to cultivate. Many people were still unsatisfied and did not want to leave here, but they all had their own things to do, so they had to leave and return to their respective regions. Soon the lively Three Realms quickly stabilized and returned to their original state of life. There was no big problem. Yi Tianyun also began to continue to cultivate, eating the 5 books of Heavenly Tao martial art. All sides were doing well, and in the blink of an eye, he stayed here for several years. Every time he came back, no matter how long he stayed, it was the most heartwarming moment he felt. Cultivating together was more motivated than cultivating alone. However, he could not stay here forever. He still needed to break through to the Heavenly Monarch realm. If he broke through to the Heavenly Monarch realm, he would have to face the terrifying Heavenly Tribulation. Then he could not stay here forever. After all, from the current situation, it was not enough to deal with these Heavenly Tribulations. He needed to strengthen himself further. Although he had completed many tasks and gained a lot of crazy points, it was still far from enough to upgrade. He still needed to accumulate a lot of crazy points to improve himself further. Tianyun, are you leaving? Ch1151 felt something strange. Yi Tianyun just sat on the side, without saying a word, let her notice. Yes, there are still a lot of things to do. Yi Tianyun smiled. But don't worry, I can come back at any time, so don't worry about anything. With the teleportation godstone, he didn't need to worry about anything. He could come back whenever he wanted, but couldn't bring people back. Unless he became a divine general under his command, he could only use the divine general summoning token to summon them. Of course, if he put it into his inner world, he could use the teleportation stone to fly away, but it was useless to take them there now. He had some right to speak in Heavenly Spring God territory, but there were not many of them. It was hard to bring a group of people there. Well, Ch1151 didn't say much and didn't say anything to persuade him to stay. She just quietly lay in his arms for the last moment of warmth. Yi Tianyun didn't say anything too sad. After a moment of warmth, he turned around and left, leaving Ch1151 alone in the empty room. This scene has been repeated many times, but Ch1151 has no regrets. The only thing she can do now is to manage the Three Realms. Every time Yi Tianyun returns, he can see the new Three Realms. Yi Tianyun used the teleportation divine stone to teleport back to Heavenly Spring God territory in an instant. There is no chaos in the world, everything is the same as usual. After all, he has only disappeared for less than a year, so there is no need to worry that someone will look for him everywhere. Unless he disappears for a few hundred years, it is estimated that he will find him. A few years, dozens of years is not a problem. A little seclusion will consume so much time, so he disappeared for a period of time, and it will not cause any trouble. Three Heavens God territory, let's go to see. Yi Tianyun is not in a hurry to cultivate or to find trouble with the evil spirit, but to go to the Three Heavens God territory. Right now, he wanted to find the 3 divine kings, the protector of the 3 realms. Without them, the 3 realms would have been finished long ago. Now, he wanted to look for them to see what was going on. One of them was Divine King Feng Tian, his ancestor. After deciding on his target, he turned around and flew towards the 3 Heavens God territory. Because his identity was more valuable than before, he would be allowed to pass through any place that wasn't extremely restricted. After leaving Heavenly Spring God territory, he boarded the spirit ship and quickly flew to the 3 Heavens God territory. 3 Heavens God territory is relatively far from Heavenly Spring God territory. During this period of time, Yi Tianyun continued to study 5 martial arts. He has already mastered them, but he still plans to study them. He also plans to think about how to run smoothly in his mind. Stop! At this time, there was a burst of shouting in front of him, making him slowly open his eyes. What he saw was 4 cultivators blocking in front of him. Their cultivation was not high, only second-layer Earth Monarch 2nd or 3rd refinements level. Looking at this formation, it is obvious that they are here to rob, and sure enough, in the next moment, one of them shouted, "This road is opened by me, this tree is planted by me, if you want to leave here, leave behind the money to buy the road." The vulgar robbery words almost made Yi Tianyun laugh. Yi Tianyun flew out of the spirit ship, looked at the 4 of them, and said indifferently, "Where is there a road, where is there a tree?" The surroundings were pitch black. Not to mention the roads and trees, there was even a pile of rocks flying on the side. Bullshit. The leading cultivator's face turned red, and he immediately said angrily, "If you want to live, leave us all the money. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." The 4 of them quickly surrounded the area, completely sealing off the escape route. Their expressions were ferocious and skilled. It was obviously not the first time they had done this. The 3 Heavens God territory was a natural place for loose cultivators. However, there were many robbers like this. Without resources, the fastest way to obtain resources was undoubtedly robbery. It could be said that the 3 Heavens God territory was quite chaotic. This was the reason why there were no managers like territory lords. The total resources of the 3 Heavens God territory were fine, but it was much worse than the other God territory. At the same time, the area was not large, so no one would take over here. Especially since it was so chaotic here, there were too many things to do to take over here. It was not worth it at all. Over time, this place became more and more chaotic. Unless you are a rogue cultivator, no one is willing to come here. However, cultivators of the first grade god territory are very happy to come here. No matter how bad Three Heavens god territory is, it is still the second grade god territory. The cultivation environment is much stronger than the first grade. Yi Tianyun glanced at them, stretched out his hand, and gently flicked, and a phantom shadow appeared in front of them. This phantom shadow presents 3 avatars, which are actually the heads of Earth Monarch Feng Tian. These robbers must have seen a lot of people, and they might recognize them. Have you seen them? If you have seen them, say it. I can spare your lives, and even give you a little reward, Yi Tianyun said. Fuck, why are you so arrogant? We are not asking for information, but robbing. The leader was furious. Cut him down and let this kid know our rules. Then the 4 of them roared and rushed to Yi Tianyun. Kneel. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold, and the power of the title of the Eternal First Earth Monarch immediately appeared. Facing the Eternal First Earth Monarch level, there was absolute suppression force, which directly compressed their strength by 1,000. As long as the difference in heavenly power was relatively large, the suppression effect would quickly reach its maximum. Under his voice, their legs went soft and they directly knelt in the void. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1069, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could. See Trader 1170. Chapter 1170. The power of absolute suppression caused these bandits to feel powerless. They felt as if their power had shrunk back. That's right, they had shrunk back. They felt like they couldn't exert any strength. They could only force out a little, no matter how hard they tried. They felt as if they had turned into a mortal. This was the power of absolute suppression. Suppressing the title would be shocking when the opponent's heavenly power was much weaker than theirs. Now, it was a very shocking effect. The opponent had lost all fighting strength and could not resist at all. Their legs were so weak that they couldn't stand up. An unprecedented fear emerged from their hearts. They had never encountered such a thing before. It was truly too terrifying. Even facing an even stronger Heaven Monarch, they didn't feel this powerlessness. After all, they can at least turn around and run in the face of the Heaven Monarch. They don't even have a chance to escape now. They directly knelt before Yi Tianyun, and their backs were already wet with cold sweat. What kind of power is this? Their hearts trembled. They felt that they were not facing a rash young man, but a nameless expert, and a very strong one. I will ask you one last time, have you seen these 3 people? Yi Tianyun looked at them indifferently. Only then did they look at the portrait on the projection again. After staring at it carefully, they all turned their heads and said, No, I've never seen it before, Rip. Rip, Yi Tianyun waved his hand, and one of them was quickly killed, turning into a pile of ashes, not even a drop of blood left, which made one of them die again, turning into a pile of experience. We have never seen them. They are not related to us. We can't hide it. My lord, you must believe us. The group leader was scared to tears, constantly begging for mercy. Where was the previous cruel demeanor? Yi Tianyun waved his hand again, and the others turned into a pile of ashes, killing without mercy. I don't know. I know a place that is more proficient in finding people. The leader quickly shouted, hoping that Yi Tianyun could spare his life. Speak, Yi Tianyun said. Yes, it's Moonsoul Pavilion from River Basin City. They specialize in collecting information. They should be able to find the person that my lord wants, the leader said honestly. Very good, then you can go to hell. Yi Tianyun reached out his hand and crushed the leader, turning him into a pile of ashes. He doesn't need to burst out any strong power. Just the power this title brings is enough to crush them easily. They are really below the Heaven Monarch realm. All are ants. First, the suppression of the energy level, then the suppression of this power, makes survival difficult. The leader did not know what happened, but he was already dead, and the last words he wanted to say could not be said. Yi Tianyun believed that what the other person wanted to tell the most was why he tried to silence him. The reason is very simple. These guys are ruthless people. What do you mean by leaving behind money and letting people go? This is bullshit. He can see at a glance that these people are killing people to rob their goods. There is no need to show mercy to this kind of people. The Moon Soul Pavilion in River Basin City is a place that specializes in selling information. There is no need to say this kind of place. I will find it. Yi Tianyun waved his hand and quickly flew forward. Generally, if you want to find someone, you can go to the restaurant or this kind of Moon Soul Pavilion, which is similar to collecting information. These Moon Soul Pavilions will provide tasks or collect information from many people so you can sell them for money. He has been looking for these people before, so he is not surprised. Under his continuous flying, he encountered several groups of robbers on the road. It has to be said that there are so many robbers on this road. When they saw him flying over, some of them immediately intercepted him. Like the previous robbers, they wanted to make a profit. Some were willing to spare his life, while others were silenced. He didn't expect that there would be so many robbers on such a short road. It had to be said that the Three Heavens God territory was too chaotic. If anyone came along, they would be dead. As long as they showed their faces a little, they would immediately become targets. If they were lucky, they would, at most, rob money. If they were unlucky, they would be cut into 8 pieces. Therefore, he killed many robbers along the way. Those who opened their eyes didn't come close. He was too lazy to pay attention to them. If those who didn't open their eyes came over, they would directly kill them. After flying for a distance, a huge planet finally appeared before them. Without a doubt, they mentioned the river basin city. After flying in, Yi Tianyun saw that this river basin city is very wide, but the cultivators here are very chaotic. Most races have them, but the level is relatively low. If it is high, they will not be reduced to here but will be selected by other god territory. Most of the people here are not talented. Their race ability is low, and there are also capable people. They do not like to join other forces. They do not like the sense of restraint. It is a good choice to dominate here. Therefore, this place is very chaotic, but there are also experts. Yi Tianyun simply glanced around. There were many heaven monarchs here. As for god monarch level, they would not run all over the street. At least at the heaven monarch level, it is still relatively common here. There are also many above the 6 refinements, earth monarchs. In short, the biggest problem here is that it is too chaotic. If you are not careful, you will die without a burial place. After all, there are no rules here. Once you leave River Basin City, you will not know how to die outside. If you want to live here, you must be low-key. Otherwise, you will not live to see tomorrow. This place is messy. Yi Tianyun glanced to the side, and a strong man just looked at him and immediately glared back. Kid, what are you looking at? Do you believe that I will stab you in the eye? The 4th refinements, Earth Monarch shouted. Yi Tianyun was too lazy to pay attention to him. He turned his head and looked ahead. He was too lazy to look at the big man. He just looked at him. When the big man saw that Yi Tianyun did not look at him, he thought he was afraid and laughed. From the initial robbers to the local ruffians, he knew that the 3 Heavens God territory was chaotic enough. The more chaotic the place was, the more likely it was to cause danger. Earth Monarch Fengtian and the others are all here. I wonder what the situation is like. Will others plot against them? Thinking of this, he quickly headed to the Moon Soul Pavilion. He put a lot of effort into finally finding the Moon Soul Pavilion. He was shocked when he stood at the door and sized up the Moon Soul Pavilion. This Moon Soul Pavilion was not very conspicuous. It was just a small house. If one did not look closely, one would not be able to see it. For a moment, he suspected that the guy was lying to him. It looked like a broken house. Was it a place to collect information? It seemed too simple. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1370, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could D. Chapter 1171. Chapter 1171. This is Moon Soul Pavilion. Isn't it a bit too simple? Yi Tianyun knows many things. It's unclear on the surface, but this Moon Soul Pavilion is too low profile, if not for the simple plaque outside with the 3 characters. Moon Soul Pavilion engraved on it, he couldn't see it. Immediately, he didn't think too much about it. He raised his foot and walked inside. Just as he entered, a rotten smell floated from inside, suffocating. Yi Tianyun frowned. Are the conditions here too bad? After coming in, he first saw a little old man sitting on the side holding a fan, slowly fanning himself. This little old man's cultivation is not low. He has the cultivation of the 6th layer Heaven Monarch, which is a good level. He didn't expect to wear such dirty clothes here. He doesn't like to bathe, and his body is smelly. It seems to be a very ordinary old man, but Yi Tianyun knows this guy is not simple. He can be regarded as a camouflage type, which can make people relax their vigilance. Only this old man is there in the entire Moon Soul Pavilion. There is no one else. The whole house has only a chair, and the old man is lying there. There is no chair or table. When he came in, the old man slowly sat up. The fan in his hand was slightly cold. With his cultivation level, he was immune to water and fire. How could he still be hot? However, he liked this feeling and kept waving the fan. Oh, are you here to accept a mission or to ask for information? The old man asked slowly. I am here to ask for information. Yi Tianyun doesn't doubt whether he is a liar. If he is a liar with this cultivation, it will be too much of a waste of talent. He might as well join a good force. He believed that the robbers before would not lie. It is impossible to lie before death. Ask the cultivator for information. Ask for middle-grade rebirth level weapons. Ask about the treasure. Need 2 middle-grade rebirth level weapons. Forget it. It is too troublesome. I am too lazy to explain. Tell me what you want to ask. The old man was too lazy to lie back down and looked more casual. I want to ask about the situation of these 3 people. I don't know where they appeared. Yi Tianyun released the appearance of the 3 people and showed them to the old man. The old man glanced at them casually and said slowly, the situation of the 3 people is that they need middle-grade rebirth level weapons. Yi Tianyun threw out 3 middle-grade rebirth level weapons without saying anything. Although they should be together, he took out 3 weapons to prove his sincerity. The old man waved his hand and put away the 3 middle-grade rebirth level weapons. He smiled and said, as expected of a genius who has been in the limelight recently. Not only did he complete the Heavenly Venerable Road, but he also achieved amazing results in the Divine Construct Palace. Surprisingly, a human can reach this stage. One point Yi Tianyun squinted at him. Undoubtedly, this old man is showing his skills in front of him. From the side, he is collecting information and is very accurate. Yi Tianyun didn't change his appearance. If he can't even recognize this, Yi Tianyun doesn't believe this Moon Soul Pavilion's ability. Moon Soul Pavilion looks simple and crude, but the information collection is first-rate. Yi Tianyun smiled, not angry at all. If I can't even do this, how can I dare to open Moonsoul Pavilion here? The old man smiled and said, the situation of your three friends is more complicated. According to the latest situation, they were taken away by the robbers as subordinates. The three of them are not bad, and they are immediately targeted. They are arranged to be in different positions. If it were someone else, they would have been killed long ago, mainly still a little valuable. The old man stretched out his hand, and an astrolabe landed in Yi Tianyun's hand and said, this is where they are. As for the latest news, I am not very clear about it. This was half a month ago. Unless there are too many changes, you can find them according to this. Yi Tianyun took the astrolabe and immediately saw the coordinates marked by the three of them. Each person's position is different. Consider it carefully. The three cultivate different places and will be arranged elsewhere. He thought he would explain the general situation, knowing that it would give such detailed coordinates. This Moonsoul Pavilion is amazing. The ability to collect information is incredibly amazing. The ability to collect information is amazing, and he doesn't know how it came. I will give you a piece of news for free. This robber is a big force in the Three Heavens God territory. There are many powerful heaven monarchs, even good monarchs. You either redeem people or rob people. It depends on your choice. With your achievements, it is not a big problem to ask Heavenly Spring God territory to send some experts to help. The old man kindly reminded him, thank you for reminding me. If I need anything in the future, I will come back. He can come to him if he needs resources from this side in the future. Then thank you for your patronage. The old man smiled and lay back down, continuing to fan slowly. After Yi Tianyun left, the old man smiled faintly. I didn't expect to meet the sect master, although it is just a name, who can say for sure in the future? I have to report this matter to the sect master. After saying that, he flicked his finger, and a crystal shot into the wall on the side. It shook a little inside the wall, and the crystal disappeared. After Yi Tianyun mastered the coordinates, he immediately flew to where they were, and through the principle of proximity, he saved Earth Monarch Feng Tian first. Earth Monarch Feng Tian was his master. After all, he had received much of his inheritance. Suspended Dragon Sect, if they have any problems, I will bury you with them. Yi Tianyun's eyes are cold, and there are three protectors. If one of them is in trouble, he will vent his anger on the Suspended Dragon Sect. Let all the experts of Suspended Dragon Sect be buried together. The Suspended Dragon Sect is the force of the robbers. It is a very amazing force. In the Three Heavenly God territory, it is a relatively large force. It is widely spread. What he is going to now is one of the cities, Wasteful Dragon City. Earth Monarch Feng Tian is arranged to be in Wasteful Dragon City. Presumably, his job should be to carve the divine imprint. Wasteful Dragon City is a relatively new city. Naturally, he needs to carve many divine imprints, but I don't know how harsh the treatment he receives will be. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1071, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could DACA chapter 172, chapter 1172. What are you doing? Hurry up and carve a divine imprint for me. A whip lashed out. With a loud snap, it viciously lashed at Earth Monarch Feng Tian, leaving deep blood marks on his body. However, he was no longer called Earth Monarch Feng Tian. Instead, he was a divine king. How could he dare to call himself a divine king? In this god territory, a divine king could not be called this. Earth Monarch Feng Tian clenched his teeth. He endured the dizziness and continued to carve complicated divine imprints. His current level was already that of a second-grade god rune master. Logically, he should be able to join a pretty good faction. However, he was too old and was rejected by most factions. He had cultivated in the three realms for many years. It was already difficult for him to break through to the Divine King stage. However, at his age, he was not worth much in the second grade's God Rune Master. Instead, he would be left out. He would be worshipped instead if he was in the first grade God territory. This was a huge difference. He had been inscribing divine imprints for a very long time. The consumption was extremely shocking. Every time he only gave a little time to rest, it simply killed him. They would not pay any attention to the Earth Monarch Feng Tian situation. They would constantly abuse him and urge him to complete this task. Other than the Earth Monarch Feng Tian, there were also other God Rune Masters who were busy here. These were all captured and enslaved. Their cultivation levels were not high, so they could easily suppress them even if they sent a weaker Heaven Monarch. Whoever dared to resist would immediately be killed. Only those who were particularly outstanding would treat them well or change places. However, those who were here were all selected and would not be selected into the category of preferential treatment. Overall, it was just that they were too old. The standards of the God Rune Master were not bad, but they were too old and their prospects were limited. It was obvious from the selection of disciples in the second grade God territory that their bone age could not be too high. If it were too high, they would be directly eliminated. After all, a second grade God Rune Master was a common standard. Even a first grade or second grade God Rune Master was more common. It was not a problem to work a little harder and spend more time to become a first grade or second grade God Rune Master. The problem was whether he could continue to sprint and reach the third or fourth grade. If he did not get this level, he would be trash. The bone age was too high and still at this level. It meant there was no hope of breaking through, so they naturally would not recruit. Therefore, although many of the disciples in the Divine Construct Palace were first in Tekken grade, they were still young and had enough time to break through. The God Rune Masters that had fallen here were more miserable. Which of them was not at the bone age of 10,000 years? It meant they had stayed in the Star Monarch realm for too long and became even more worthless. The bone age of a cultivator was extremely important. It was not that the older one was, the more valuable they were. It was that the younger they were, the more valuable they were. After all, they could cultivate twice the result with half the effort in their young state. Their comprehension speed would also increase. Different stages had different judgments. It did not mean that the bone age of 10,000 years was bad. For example, a 10,000-year-old heavenly venerate, who dared to say that it was bad, he would still be a peerless genius. To cultivate the heavenly venerate at the 10,000-year-old level, what else could it be without a genius? When the guards went out to patrol, the Earth Monarch Feng Tian's eyes turned cold. He nodded to the people beside him, turned around, and rushed forward. He dodged to the corner at an extremely fast speed. In this corner, there were already 4 people hiding here. It seemed that they had planned it. The guards have already gone out to patrol. They will return in about 2 incense sticks of time. We will take advantage of these 2 incense sticks of time to escape. After escaping, everyone will immediately scatter. Don't be in a hurry to escape from Wasteful Dragon City. Hide in the residential area first. Earth Monarch Feng Tian seemed the leader and told the other 4 people, when the time comes, they will send people to capture us. However, we can only hide and wait for the sound of the wind to pass or take advantage of the gap to escape from this wasteful dragon city. As soon as he finished speaking, Earth Monarch Feng Tian waved his hand and all fled forward. Every one of them released their fastest speed and flew forward. Just as the Earth Monarch Feng Tian was about to escape, he was suddenly enveloped by a net. He was tied up tightly and could not move at all. The Heaven Earth Monarch Feng Tian and the other 2 were also bound. Earth Monarch Feng Tian, you. They saw that the one who caught them was none other than their companion, Earth Monarch Feng Tian. He was the one who threw out this net and caught them all. You still want to escape? Earth Monarch Feng Tian laughed sinisterly. Stay here obediently and become my free bargaining chip. When the guard sensed the situation, he quickly rushed over. When he saw the situation before him, he said in a low voice, "What is this situation? My lord, the 3 of them want to escape. I caught them and let you deal with them," Earth Monarch Feng Tian said respectfully. After the guard heard this, he became furious. "You bastards, you want to run away." After he finished speaking, he fiercely kicked one of them, causing one of them to cave in, almost causing his body to explode. That's right, when this one knew they were going to escape, I immediately caught them. To do things for the Lord and Wasteful Dragon City is an extremely honored matter. They want to run away. Earth Monarch Feng Tian smiled faintly. I also want to be like you, my lord, to be able to work for Wasteful Dragon City and be a member of the supervision here. At this time, they all knew what free chips were. They were chips. If they helped them, these people would naturally be very happy, which is equivalent to showing their loyalty. The guard sized him up and laughed. You are quite smart. All right, I will report this to the Lord later. At that time, you should be able to become a guard and take charge of the area here. There is indeed not enough manpower here. It seems that you are quite capable. It is not a problem for you to take charge of the area here slightly. Thank you, my lord. Earth Monarch Feng Tian was extremely excited. This was the result he wanted. He did not want to continue carving the divine imprint here. The key was that he might not be able to survive after cutting it. Perhaps these people would be ruthless and kill them all. As for the plan to escape, it seemed feasible, but the chances of escaping were too slim. Rather than taking a gamble, it was better to capture the 3 of them to show his loyalty. This way, he could get rid of them. Reality proved that his method was not wrong, and he made the right bet. Now it is your turn. Since you want to escape, don't blame me for being ruthless. The guard sneered, and a long sword appeared in his hand. He grabbed the sturdy net and dragged it outside, ready to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Where do you want to drag them? At this time, a figure flew down from the side and stopped before the guard. The guard looked up and saw a young man staring at him coldly. He felt a chill in his heart. For some reason, he felt a sense of fear. Become a patron read up to chapter 1372 and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could see chapter 173. Chapter 173. Who are you? Do you know where this is? After the guard calmed down, he asked with a cold face, Isn't this Wasteful Dragon City? The one who arrived in time was none other than Yi Tianyun. He had just arrived at Wasteful Dragon City. He casually walked around the area to see if he could find Divine King Tianyun. He happened to see something like this happen here. After investigating this area, he discovered that the one caught was Divine King Tianyun. You know this is Wasteful Dragon City, yet you still dare to fly here. The guard was furious. I don't know who you are, but if you barge in here, you will be sentenced to death. After saying that, the guard pulled out his sword and stabbed Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun gave him a very bad feeling, so he wanted to kill him early to avoid future trouble. Yi Tianyun dodged, easily dodging the attack, and suddenly kicked the guard. Boom! He kicked the guard away and slammed heavily on the wall before him, creating a big hole. Even with the support of the divine imprint, it was still broken, which was enough to show how powerful his kick was. Ding! Successfully killed the guard of Wasteful Dragon City, gained 6 experience, 2 crazy points, and a few compressed sin points. Get Crescent Moon Sword middle grade rebirth level, Crescent Moon Armor middle grade rebirth level, 5 times experience pill medicine. After the data was upgraded, the experience value seemed to have shrunk by more than half, but the use increased. A little compressed experience was equivalent to 100 billion experience points. A little compressed crazy point was equivalent to 10 million crazy points, and a little sin point was comparable to 1,000,000 sin points. After ruthlessly compressing, the data was no longer as exaggerated, but in essence, it did not change. However, it was not as exaggerated as before, and the effect did not change. Such a loud noise immediately attracted the guards' attention on the side, and they flew over. When they saw the intruders, their faces turned cold, and they quickly surrounded them. Rip. At this moment, the solid iron net was ruthlessly torn apart. The 3 people who were caught took advantage of this opportunity to escape. One of them stopped and did not rush to escape. This person was Earth Monarch Feng Tian. He did not run away with his other 2 companions. Instead, he chose to stand to the side. Earth Monarch Feng Tian, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and run together. That's right, hurry up and run. If you're late, it'll be too late. The 2 of them temporarily could not be bothered to pay attention to Earth Monarch Teg. Although they were extremely furious, if the guards surrounded them, they could not escape. You guys run first. This friend came down to save us. I can't run away. Earth Monarch Feng Tian was still so upright. Compared to the other guards, his cultivation level was relatively low. However, he did not intend to escape. Instead, he hid to the side and watched the situation. The 2 of them hated the iron for not becoming steel. They could only clench their teeth and turn around to run away. They also glared at Divine King Tianyun when they were running away. They had completely regarded him as their enemy. If they met him outside in the future, they would fight him to the death. This is not that they are ungrateful. They just feel that survival is more important. Yi Tianyun saved them, but staying here was a burden. They can't compete with those guards at all. Earth Monarch Feng Tian hid on the side, watching the situation on Yi Tianyun's side. At the same time, he was extremely concerned about the problem of Tianyun Earth Monarch in case they were attacked again by Tianyun Earth Monarch. I didn't expect you to have helpers. Divine King Tianyun treated Yi Tianyun as a companion of Earth Monarch Feng Tian and said with a sneer, but it will be useless soon. With so many guards surrounding us, you can't escape. Is that so? Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Earth Monarch Feng Tian sneered. Then go to hell right now. Diving King Tianyun flew into a rage as he swung his sword over. Then, Earth Monarch Feng Tian stretched out his hand and shouted, "Formation up." In the next moment, a beam of light suddenly lit up beneath the feet of Divine King Tianyun, enveloping him within and locking him down. When did you carve a grand formation here? Divine King Tianyun looked at the grand formation beneath his feet in disbelief. He did not know when Earth Monarch Feng Tian had carved it here, leaving him completely unaware. You want to run? How can you not even prepare yourself? Earth Monarch Teg picked up the sword that fell to the side and slashed at Divine King Tianyun. The other party opened his mouth wide, and before he could even make a sound, his head had already fallen to the ground. Following that, his body exploded into a bloody mist, and he was dead. When Earth Monarch Feng Tian attacked, he did not hesitate and did not show any mercy, directly killing. Earth Monarch Feng Tian can dominate a region in the 3 realms. How can he not have the ability? When Yi Tianyun noticed the situation over there, he smiled slightly. As expected of an expert from the 3 realms, his ability is not inferior to that of an expert from the Divine Realm. At the same time, the surrounding guards had already surrounded the 2 of them. This place was so tightly packed that not even a drop of water could trickle through. There were a total of 5 guards. All of them were at the 4th and 5th layer Heaven Monarch. All of them had rushed over from the side. You killed the guards of Wasteful Dragon City. Do you know where this place is? One of the guards was shocked when he saw his companion being kicked into a meat patty. In the 3 Heavenly God territory, someone dared to cause trouble in the territory of the Suspended Dragon Sect. Wasn't this going against the Suspended Dragon Sect? Isn't it just the territory of the Suspended Dragon Sect? It should be said that it is the territory of a group of thugs and robbers, randomly snatching cultivators as coolies. Yi Tianyun said, I am not a bodhisattva. It is fine if I catch others, but if you dare to see my people, don't blame me for being impolite. He was not worried about the Suspended Dragon Sect at all. He was barefoot. How could he be afraid of these forces? As for the fact that it was found out to be from the Heavenly Spring God territory, he was not worried either. He believed that the Suspended Dragon Sect would never dare to provoke Heavenly Spring God territory unless he wanted to die. How many God Monarchs could a small Suspended Dragon Sect have? Heavenly Spring God territory had dozens of God Monarchs. If he sent a few elders over, the Suspended Dragon Sect would be completely wiped out. What a big tone. Even if it is a dragon, come to our Suspended Dragon Sect. You have to coil up for me. Catch him and force him to find out where he is. See if the enemy forces send him. When the guard felt that Yi Tianyun was only at the Earth Monarch, he was suddenly full of courage and not worried. He does not know why his companion was killed. He was likely careless or attacked. In his opinion, he was possible attacked. The main thing is to investigate which force this intruder is from. In the Three Heavenly God territory, there are several forces similar to the Suspended Dragon sect, so it is possible that other forces send them to cause trouble. Immediately, the guards surrounded Yi Tianyun, wanting to capture him. When they were about to rush over, suddenly, there was a flash of light on the side, blocking these guards inside. If you look carefully, it is an exquisite formation. I don't know when it is set up here. It can temporarily block the movements of these guards. It seems that it has been set up for a long time. Otherwise, it will not be used immediately. Yi Tianyun smiled. There was no doubt that this was the great array of Earth Monarch Feng Tian. Become a patron, read up to chapter 1373, and bonus 5 chapters every month. Good deal, right? Help us to reach first goal if you could tia chapter 1174. Chapter 1174. Dis friend, let's go. Earth Monarch Feng Tian came out and shouted, I cannot hold on for too long. At most, it will take a short while. Yi Tianyun saw Earth Monarch Feng Tian coming out and smiled. He had already seen that there was a formation here. He guessed that Earth Monarch Chuang Tian set it up. Sure enough, it was released now. It was unexpected. Being enslaved here, taking advantage of the gap between the guards to continuously carve the array, it is really not simple. No wonder Earth Monarch Chuang Tian stayed here, to control the array to imprison the guards and run away together. No hurry, I will kill them now. Yi Tianyun jumped, turned into a lightning light, and flashed away. The next moment, 5 blood mist exploded in the air. The guards did not even have a chance to resist. All of them exploded. Then it turned into a pile of experience, much faster than absorbing the water core. This power, Earth Monarch Feng Tian gasped, and was shocked by Yi Tianyun's action, and then smiled bitterly. It seems that I have done something unnecessary. Even without this array, you can easily suppress them. Earth Monarch can kill Heaven Monarch. I have only heard of it. I have never seen it before. He felt that it was unnecessary to stay, and there was no need for him to help. He could easily kill everything. Immediately, his face changed slightly, and he hurriedly said, Then let's leave quickly. If we go too late, Suspended Dragon Sect will definitely not let us go. These guards are weaker than Suspended Dragon Sect. They have stronger existences. However, after he said it, he remembered Yi Tianyun's words, turned to look at him and said, By the way, didn't you come to find a friend? Where is your friend? I am more familiar with this place. I can take you to find him. As long as I have seen it in Wasteful Dragon, I have basically seen all of them. I can take you to find him immediately. Yi Tianyun smiled at him and said, You are the person I am looking for. Looking for me? Earth Monarch Feng Tian was shocked. He pointed to himself and said, I am the person you were looking for. No way, I don't even know you. It is the first time I have seen you. It is the first time you and I met, but according to the rule, I am half a disciple of yours. Yi Tianyun looked at Earth Monarch Feng Tian. Even if Earth Monarch Feng Tian came out, his character still hasn't changed, and he will not be turned into a bad person by this cruel world. The strong people who can protect the 3 realms, sacrifice themselves for others, this heart still hasn't changed. Half a disciple? Earth Monarch Feng Tian laughed and waved his hand. How is that possible? Your cultivation level is much higher than mine. I'm only a 2nd refinement Earth Monarch. From the looks of it, you're at least at the 7th or 8th refinement Earth Monarch. Otherwise, how could you easily kill these guards? 3 realms, Yi Tianyun said softly. 3 realms? Earth Monarch Feng Tian jumped up and looked at him in shock. You came from the 3 realms. Yes, I came from the 3 realms. To be precise, I came to find you, the guardian of the 3 realms, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. This, Earth Monarch Feng Tian is still very incredible. How can he not know the situation of the 3 realms? How can there be such a heaven-defying existence? Yi Tianyun grabbed him and quickly flew outside. He rushed out of the planet and easily escaped from here. After breaking through to the 10th refinement Earth Monarch, they all had the strength of Heaven Monarch, and their speed was amazing. Otherwise, they would not be killed so easily. Let's go and save Earth Monarch Chuang Tian now. He is still my ancestor. Yi Tianyun looked at his stunned expression and felt very funny. The legendary figure showed this expression when he saw him. You, the descendant of Earth Monarch Chuang Tian. It's incredible. Earth Monarch Feng Tian is shocked again. He can't calm down, and all the impact is too big for him. What's the situation with you? After so long, you don't plan to go back to the 3 realms to see? Yi Tianyun asked. Go back. Why don't we go back? Before we came to 2nd grade God territory, we planned to go back to the 3 realms to see the situation. After all, there are still the evil spirits that have not been dealt with. Who knew that we went back to look around and found that the 3 realms are all gone? I thought it was destroyed, which made us 3 very depressed. Earth Monarch Feng Tian shook his head, and then looked at Yi Tianyun and said excitedly, I don't know what is the situation of the 3 realms now. You must know. The 3 realms have been transferred. If not transferred, it would have been destroyed by the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun smiled. So, don't worry, the 3 realms is still fine. There is no problem. The next time I take you back, many people in the 3 realms still miss you very much. After all, you have made a lot of contributions to the 3 realms. Is that so? Earth Monarch Feng Tian seemed to remember the situation of the three realms and said happily, but it's good that the three realms are still here. It seems that you have solved the evil spirit race situation. We have been cultivating here for too long. We never thought of staying in the god territory for a year. It has been several years in the mortal territory. We have been in the god territory for many years. It is difficult to move an inch here, and there are too few resources. Our talent is too low, and it is very difficult to improve. It is hard to stand firm in the first-grade god territory, but the gap is still very big. He sighed deeply, as if he had encountered a major setback. Standing at the peak of the mortal territory and coming here was nothing. How could he not feel frustrated? Yi Tianyun nodded. He knew that this was the reason. They knew that their cultivation was too low, so they must cultivate well in the god territory. When they succeeded in their cultivation and were ready to go back, they had already been in the mortal territory for thousands of years, or even 10,000 years. This was the horror. No, you just lack resources. Yi Tianyun patted Earth Monarch Feng Tian on the shoulder and said in a low voice, "Now let's go save them and solve this problem first." On, Earth Monarch Feng Tian said in a deep voice, "They have been captured and enslaved in different places. Earth Monarch Chuang Tian should have been captured to refine weapons. Earth Monarch Chuang Tian's refining level is very good, otherwise we will probably be killed." Yi Tianyun's eyes are cold. "Don't worry, I will make them pay the price." He felt that his heart was restless, and he wanted to start a massacre. If anything happened, he would not mind killing. Yes, we are all seeking revenge. As long as someone comes, even if we have to sacrifice our lives, we will fight them. There is a bit of determination in the eyes of Earth Monarch Feng Tian, and he will never let go of anyone who comes. Yi Tianyun smiled. Even if so many people suppress them, they still don't get rid of the frustration and courage in their hearts. This is the guardian of the three realms.